Yodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Radha Vrindavan Chandra, Radha Vrindavan Chandra, Radha Vrindavan Chandra, Sri Radhe. Gaurani Jai Jaya Gaurani Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada जय श्री राधा वृंदावन चंद्र भगवान की जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा महारानी की, श्री गौर निताई की, श्रील प्रभुपाद की। Hare Krishna. Welcome all of you to the Srimad Bhagavatam class. We'll be reciting from second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, first chapter, sloka number 4, 214. देहापत्य कलत्रादिषु आत्मसैन्येषु असत्सु अपि तेषां प्रमत्तो निधनं पश्यनपि न पश्यति. Translation is like this. Persons devoid of Atma Tattva do not inquire into the problems of life, being too attached to the fallible soldiers like the body, children, and wife. Although sufficiently experienced, they still do not see their inevitable destruction. Yeah, perfect. Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. This material world is called the world of death. Every living being, beginning from Brahma, whose duration of life is some thousands of millions of years, down to the germs who live for a few seconds only, is struggling for existence. Therefore, this life is a sort of fight with a material nature which imposes death upon all. In the human form of life, a living being is competent enough to come to an understanding of this great struggle for existence. But being too attached to family members, society, country, etc., he wants to win over the invincible material nature by aid of bodily strength, children, wife, and relatives, etc. Although he is sufficiently experienced in the matter by dint of past experience and previous examples of his deceased predecessors, he does not see that the so called fighting soldiers, like the children, relatives, society members, and countrymen, are fallible in the great struggle. One should examine the fact that his father or his father's father has already died, and that he himself is therefore also sure to die. And similarly, his children, who are the who are the future fathers of their children, will also die in due course. No one will survive in the struggle with material existence, with material nature. The history of human society definitely proves it. Yet, the foolish people still suggest that in the future they'll be able to live perpetually with the help of material science. This poor fond of knowledge exhibited by human society is certainly misleading, and, and is due to ignoring the constitution of the living soul. This material world exists only as a dream due to our attachment to it. Otherwise, the living soul is always different from the material nature. The great ocean of the material nature is tossing with the waves of time, and the so called living conditions are something like foaming bubbles, which appear before us as the bodily self, wife, children, society, countrymen, etc. Due to lack of knowledge of the self, we become victimized by the force of ignorance and thus spoil the valuable energy of human life in a vain search after permanent living conditions which are impossible in this material world. Our so-called friends, relatives, and wives and children are not only fallible but also bewildered by the outward glamour of the material existence. As such, they cannot save us. Still, we think that we are safe within the material orbit of family, society, and country. The whole materialistic advancement of human civilization is like that of decoration of the dead body. Everyone is a dead body flapping only for a few days, and yet all the energy of human life is being wasted in the decoration of this dead body. Sukdev Goswami is pointing out the duty of the human being after showing the actual position of the bewildered human activities. Persons who are devoid of the knowledge of Atma Tattva are misguided. But those who are devotees of the Lord and have perfect realization of transcendental knowledge are not bewildered. Jai Shri Prabhupada ki. Om Gyan Timirandhasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणा रघुनाथन्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितंश्च नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Hare Krishna. Before I begin to speak on this verse, I would like to seek blessings of His Grace from Sivadan Prabhu and all the senior devotees present, and also all other devotees, so that they can bless and I can speak something for my purification and for their pleasure. So this particular verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, second canto, is one of the beginning verses which Sukdev Goswami starts speaking to Parikshit Maharaj. In fact, this is where he actually starts speaking in the beginning of second canto, the first chapter. There is no direct verse by Sukdev Goswami in first canto. But just giving a prelude to this verse, Parikshit Maharaj is asking two questions to Sukdev Goswami that अथ पृच्छामि संसिद्धिं योगिनां परमं गुरुं पुरुषस्य येह यत् कार्य म्रियमाणस्य सर्वदा यत् श्रोत्रव्यम अथो जाप्यम यत् कर्तव्यम निर्भि प्रभु स्मर्तव्यम भजनीयम वा ब्रूहि तन्मे विपर्ययम्. Means he is asking basically two questions. First, he is asking that what's the duty of a person, especially a person who is about to die, mriyamanasya sarvada. And then he is asking in specific in the second verse, 1.19.38, that yat srotabhyam, what one should hear, what one should chant, and whom one should remember and whom one should worship, and whom one should not, what one should not hear, what one should not do, like in negative. Both he's asking what one should do and what one should not do. These things he's asking. And to answer these two questions of Parikshit Maharaj, Shukdev Goswami starts answering. Directly he starts answering without only just you hear Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, that's all. And no offering prayer to his spiritual master, Vasudev, nothing like that. Directly starts speaking that Sruta Vyadini Rajendra Ninam Santi Sahasrasa. There are so much rubbish people here, those who are in people with material consciousness. And what one should not hear, he first speaks that Kutumba Bharani Nava, that only doing sense gratification and only economic development and protecting one's family, that's all. And then he starts telling about apasyatam atma tattvam grihesu griha medina. And there here in this verse he says that deha patya kalatra adisu atma saineshu asassu api tesam pramatto nidhanam pashyanapi na pasyati. Although he is seeing, but still is not seeing. Like that he's telling. Krishna also speaks a verse like this in Bhagavad Gita. In somewhere in 15th chapter he says, Utkramantam stitam vapi bhunjanam va gunanvitam vimudhana anupashyanti pashyanti jnana chakshusha. So there he says that a person who is vimudha, who is bereft of knowledge of Atma Tattva. So there he is not able to see what Utkramantam stitam vapi, where the person is living, while living, what he is doing, and when he is dying, what's happening, both he is not able to see. Like that. And who is able to see? He's telling the person who is Jnana Chakshu. And what is the Jnana Chakshu? Basically, here it is Atma Tattva, a person who is knowing the Atma Tattva. So I've divided Srila Prabhupada's this purport into 5 parts. So Prabhupada first, he talks about death. He starts with the purport with saying that this material world is a world of death. Everybody is going to die and is a very prominent factor in this material world. Although visible, people don't see this. Everybody is dying. But still people somehow they tend to overlook this fact that the death is a very prominent factor in everybody's life. Krishna tells in Bhagavad Gita to Arjun that this Arjun, you should see these 4 things as problems of life. What are they? Birth, death, disease, and old age. But out of these 4 factors, Death is most horrifying, because birth is problem only for the person who took birth, but for others it is good. People enjoy it, they celebrate another child's birth. But the person who has taken birth, for it's painful for only for him. And then as you go, this death and sorry, old age and disease. Old age people also don't see this as a, people retire and then they relax. They see, okay, fine, I'm tired now. So old age also people don't see so much. But most horrifying is death. People they really get scared of death. It creates a great amount of fear, and all these activities, all the people, somehow nobody wants to die. Prabhupada is telling here that this material existence, this is our struggle in this material world, is somehow or other everybody is trying to evade death. Scientists, they are planning how we can live long in this body. So for them it is a very very dangerous thing. But for a devotee, it is not so much. Krishna says that in Bhagavad Gita, that is like changing a dress. Arjuna, why you are worrying about death of Vishmadev? Why you are worrying about death of your Kauravas? Don't worry. They will just go for a change of dress and then they will get new dress. So for a devotee, or even for a Gyani for that matter, both of them, they are not so, they see death in a very different aspect. But that's not the case with the materialistic people. A person who wants to enjoy this material world, it's while living also, it's a hard struggle for him. Prabhupada terms here, this material world is a fight with material nature. And as Sukdev Goswami is telling here, Atma Sainyesu. So every living entity is fighting with whom? On the opposite side, is fighting with the material nature, with Maya. And while fighting, he is using his soldiers, because when you go to fight, you carry your soldiers. So who are the soldiers? Relatives, the friends, and the friends, relatives, and they are the soldiers. And material nature is going to, we are struggling with her, we are fighting with her. And but he is not able to see that he is not going to overcome this material nature. It's a battle in which he is inevitably going to get defeated only. There is no point, there is no chance that he will come out victorious. For a materialistic, defeat is definite. And putting so much trust on the friends and relatives, people do put so much when they see their friends. If the father is very rich, generally people who come from rich background, they sometimes they don't care for the difficulties of life. They don't pay heed to preaching of devotees, because of being puffed off by wealth, or sometimes education, or sometimes scientific advancement. People foolishly don't see that whatever advanced you are, you can never defy death. We we have to succumb to death, and we have to. But somehow, while living and enjoying this material world, a person becomes oblivious to the aspect that death is approaching him. The more a person enjoys this material nature, the enjoys these facilities, and gets engrossed in sense gratification, he will not be able to pay a heed to the fact that death is nearing him. That's what Srila Prabhupada is telling. So nevertheless, he's trying very, very hard to somehow or other to counteract death. And he's bringing so much of discoveries, all the technological advancement and discovery. Somehow person want to evade death, so for protection. And then second, this is one aspect Prabhupada is making, that our struggle with material nature. And second, Prabhupada is telling that yeah, also one important point I also want to make, that we are also practicing brahmacharis, we have to be very careful of this aspect also, that one day we are also going to die somehow while living in this our ashram life, practicing. Sometimes we also become oblivious. But Chanakya Pandit says that one should always remember that death, smara nitya anityatam, he says that one should otherwise we'll also think that many times we forget this aspect, that we are also nearing death, and our preparation, our chanting, our sadhana is done in a motive so that we can conquer over this death. Srila Prabhupada says a Bengali quote that bhajan karte sadhan karte marte jante hoy. Means in Bengali it means how you are doing your bhajan, how you are doing your sadhan. All these things will be checked at the time of death. How you have done, it will be tested at the time of death. So that is a. I also yesterday Prabhuji was making in Brahmachari class a point that the testing, who has to see the test, You yourself have to see that how you yourself is making grow in our practice. And Srila Prabhupada is giving a simple logic in the purport that one should see that my father has died, my father's father also has died, and they have died, and they have not taken anything with them. They have many people in my ancestors, all of them have died. So the same thing is going to happen with me also. But somehow a person who is living, he feels that I'm not going to die, and I am going to make a special change in the society, and something very, my contribution will be very significant. That's how in that idea everybody is living in the material world. But one should always remember that whatever we make, whatever discoveries and so far has happened, it is going to be diluted by the material nature's this strong weapon of death. Then Srila Prabhupada is making point that um, all these things happening is because of lack of knowledge of the self. Apasyatam atma tattvam. So, so we ourselves have to regularly remind ourselves by preaching, by the instructions of our seniors, that somehow or other we should not forget this fact that we are ultimately we are a spirit soul and a servant of Krishna. So this is what is the Atma Tattva. For Gyanis, it is only we are spirit soul. They try to meditate that we are soul and this material world is temporary and things like that. But for devotees, we see that we are not only spirit soul, we are also part and parcel of Krishna, and and a servant of Krishna. That's what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, that Mamai Vamsu Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana Manosastani Indriyani Prakritistani Karshati. So much struggle is there in this material world because of forgetfulness of the fact that we are ultimately Krishna's servant. So that point Prabhupada is making. And in this struggle, if you don't remember the struggle, then if you don't remember the aspect that we are Krishna's servant, then the struggle will be more and more prominent, and it will be more harder and harder. Prakritistani Karsati. That will be more difficult. The more one remembers that we are part and parcel of Krishna and servant of Krishna, the struggle will be minimized to a very great extent. And to that extent, will not seek support from friends and relatives and so-called supporters whom we feel that we might help us at the time of our need. Actually, nobody can help us. That's what Krishna is telling, that I am your friend. Many places Krishna is telling, Srudam Sarva Bhutanam, and consider me to be a friend. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also says that Ami Bina Bandhu Tomar Kiyachar. Who is who is a greater friend of yours than myself? But nevertheless, a materialistic person has that in the back of his mind that I'm going to get support from my friends and from my not only on an individual level, from a great country level also. You see many countries, they come together and they form these societies or together, and they an alliance they make to protect themselves from their enemies. So that now also the greatest alliance is the NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization. The 30 countries are there together to in order to protect each other. The idea is that if any other country will attack one country, all of us will attack. But that's the idea. But you can see that it is such a you know such a foolish idea. Because of that, more fighting is happening. The whole, you see the history of European countries filled with fights. So much fight is because of this godless civilization. Because of that, apasyatam atma tattvam, so much fight. You see the whole history is filled with fights, practically individual level and culturally, means on a communal level also. And also we see the example of Gajendra, very striking example how Gajendra, although he was a valiant elephant, and he had everything at his disposal. He had beautiful wife and many mighty sons also. He had sons who were also equally as powerful as Rajendra. And they were all, there is a clan of elephants, more than 60, 70 of them. And when the crocodile inside the water caught the leg of Gajendra, nobody could rescue him. Everybody was watching him. Everybody was shedding tear, crying, and they were making, hey, try to protect, but nobody was able to protect him. And the whole fight went on for 1,000 years. Nobody could protect. So similarly is the case with the materialistic people also. One might feel that I'll be supported and sheltered by my friends and my relatives, but that will not happen at the time of No, nobody knows from where and what time death will approach like this elephant and will catch him at the least expected moment, and then he'll have to succumb to death. So that's what is Prabhupada is telling in the first part of the purport. And then next Prabhupada is telling the last, in the middle part, Prabhupada is telling that in the human form of life, the living being is competent enough to come out of this struggle. Only in this human form of life one can make a full stop to this struggle. Because in other forms like animals, like dogs, elephants, in other forms, nobody can evade death. They just have to follow the system, whatever is there, the cycle of birth and death. They just but there is no question of coming out. Only in this human form of life, one can labdha deham. What is it? Apiha dhira trunam yatet napatet anumrityu yavat nisreyasaya vishaya khalu sarvatra syat. There he says that labdhva sudullabhamidam bahu sambhavante. That after getting this rare form of human form of life, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur would quote this many times, that one should make a plan to come out of this birth and death, and plan for his ultimate good. This is only possible in this human form of life. And how one can do this human form of life? One has the opportunity to approach a spiritual master who has the, because on our own we cannot do it as much as an animal cannot do it. Similarly, simply getting a human form of life also will not help one to come out of the material struggle of existence. It is not possible. It is the same thing Rahugana, Jada Bharat is telling to Rahugana. And he's telling that Rahugana, you will not be able to come out of this struggle on your own. And then he says, okay, what else I can do? He said, no, by leaving home also you will not be able to come out. By Chandasa, by studying the Vedic literature also you will not be able to come out. And then by Tapasa, by Ijaya, by Nirvapanat, Grihad, by no other means. Then he says that Bina Mahatpado Rajobhishekam. So even in this human form of life, it is not possible unless and until one surrenders to a spiritual master. So that's the most important thing, that one can do it. And then Srila Prabhupada says that he says this whole materialistic civilization advancement, uh, materialistic civilization is like a dead body, decoration of dead body. Yesterday, our Kesav Kripa Prabhu was telling about on verse that Mandanam Lokaranjanam, that verse. He was telling that Bhagavad Bhakti Hinasya Jati Jati Shastram Japas Tapas Aprana Vaisya Dehasya Mandanam Lokaranjanam. He was telling that Bhagavad Bhakti Hinasya. If there is no devotional service, then all this erudite knowledge, the scientific advancement, the progress, all this is simply a decoration of dead body. Now, this decoration of dead body is a very funny word actually. Decoration of dead body. Who, if there is a dead body and you decorate it, just imagine you put it on a very nice, you know, costly garments, and you give woodland shoes, or you give costly jewelries, all these things. Even for some time it might give a kind of look, but ultimately the person is dead. Similarly, if the civilization is not becoming God conscious, and if only the focus is materialistic advancement and research and economic growth, all these things is nothing but decoration of the dead body. And because the life substance is lost. So even after achieving that, a person does not receive satisfaction of the heart. That's the point, is what Prabhupada is making. That's the meaning of decoration of dead body. Otherwise, even after so much of education, people get frustrated. Recently, I was reading an article. Uh, that article was telling that 80% of the PhD students of IIT Kanpur, they are under high level of stress. 80% is a big number actually. 80% of PhD students, it was a Deccan Herald, but it was there, and it was telling that they are either in stress or want to quit, or having also some suicidal thoughts. And below it was there that last 5 years, all IITs, NITs, ISERs, AIMS, and NISERs, all put together, there have been 123 suicides in last 5 years. And imagine this, all these educational institutions like Niger, AIMS, and IIM, all these, or the cream class of intelligent people of India, they go there. And such kind of statistics, it's very disheartening to see that. Why? Because because they're intelligent people, even after going to such level, they find such dissatisfaction within heart. They feel it's ultimately, why what to live for? If the substance is not there, then why only breathe? Bhagavatam, elsewhere in the ahead of this slokas, Sukdev Goswami will say that, he will say that jivan shavo bhagavata angri renu najatu martyo abhilebeta yastu Sri Vishnu Padya Manujas Tulasya Swasan Savo Yastu Naveda Gandham. He'll say that Jivan Savo and Swasan Savo. Two places in that sloka, two times he has used the word dead body. Jivan Savo and Swasan Savo. Jivan Savo means living dead, and Swasan Savo means breathing dead. So, and who is that person? He's telling that that person who is not, who has not got the dust of lotus feet of devotees. He is living dead. And if he has not got the aroma of Tulasi of Sri Vishnu Padya, that is, he is breathing dead. Like that, Sukdev Goswami is telling. So we can see that uh, if a person does not become devotee in this human form of life, and if he keeps doing so much of research and so many things, of course, we are not against all these things. One can do, provided one is becoming Krishna conscious at the end of the day. Everything should be, it has its application. If Srila Prabhupada says one can use everything in Krishna consciousness, Prabhupada says we can also use missile in Krishna's service. The Prabhupada statement is there. So that is too extreme. And below that, all scientific advancements can definitely be used in Krishna's service if missile can be used. So, so then Prabhupada says, and towards the end, Prabhupada says that only devotees are not bewildered. The devotees, they have the understanding, and they are not bewildered against the, I guess, the onslaughts of this struggle with material nature. They are not bewildered. Why they are not bewildered? Because because they are not bereft of the Atma Tattva. They know that our essential identity is spirit in nature. So our activity, our goal, and all our aim should be towards for the welfare of the spirit soul. And whatever needs to be done on a bodily platform, that's just formality. That's how the devotee is not bewildered. Otherwise, otherwise, materialistic people are there thoroughly bewildered because they don't know that in true sense they're spiritual in nature, and they are doing so much of things for the bodily welfare, and at the end of their life they come to understand that whatever they have done here is going to stay here, and they are not going to carry anything with them, and not going to add anything onto their account. That's how they are bewildered. And not only at the time of death they're bewildered, during the course of their living also, they definitely they're bewildered because in the pursuit of getting sense gratification, Maya tricks them. The material nature uh, tricks them and makes them bereft of their good intelligence. Whereas a devotee, he is humble enough to understand this fact that if Lord Krishna wants me, whatever, I am simply on the hands of Lord Krishna, and I'm just a play toy in his hands. Whatever way he wants to mold me, he will mold me. But that's not the case with materialistic people. So so initially we were talking in the presentation, first part of my presentation, we are talking about the struggle between the materialistic person and the material nature. And in that struggle, the defeat is definitely for the for the living entity. The, no matter how hard he tries, the defeat is going to be of the living entity. But on the contrary, in the hard struggle of with the devotee, and the devotee also struggles. It's not that has devotee also in the world has to deal with the bodily limitations, and so much devotee also has a mind. Sometimes the mind also creates so much problem for a practicing sadhaka. But the sadhaka has to be fully confident that the ultimately the victory is going to be on his side. Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtana. It is just a matter of time, if not one life, next life, if not next to next. The ultimate victory is going to be of devotees. The material nature has to allow the devotees and hand over the victory to the devotee. It might be sometimes devotees they approach us while in the course of our preaching, and like they practice, they say, Prabhuji, we are so much disturbed with the mind and we are not getting much taste in practicing, and whether this process is working or not. And we don't have to worry so much, because ultimately the devotee is going to be victorious. The devotee will be victorious. It is just a matter of time. We just have to continue with faith. As yesterday in the brahmachari class, the faith topic was coming. So Prabhupada says faith means complete faith. Faith means strong faith. Faith means dridha shraddha. So devotee has to just continue with good faith, that param vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. I'll do my part, and even if I have so many limitations, so much shortcomings, but nevertheless, ultimately the victory is going to be off on my side. But that's not the case with a person who is not a devotee. So just summarizing the my topic would refer one essential point also. I just forgot. I'll like to make that. Srila Prabhupada says that the struggle of the materialistic people is there because of their attachment to this material world, because of attachment. And how the attachment comes? The attachment comes because of like Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, third chapter, that lust is the enemy. But Radheshamru explains that how lust, before lust there is something else. Lust is the enemy, but before lust there is attraction, there is attention and attraction. These two principles are there. From attraction comes attention, and from attention comes attachment. Attachment means lust. So so first our attraction comes. So for a devotee, practicing devotee, he has to get fully convinced that the attraction which is arising in my heart for the material nature, which will eventually get transformed into attachment. We have to stop at the level of attraction. We have to fully get convinced that this attraction is of it's just a futile attraction. It is not of any worth. There is no substance in the attraction. It might appear very colorful, very glamorous, and very lucrative, very promising, but we have to convince our intelligence by taking help from devotees, by taking help of the scriptures, by Prabhupada's, and by our chanting sadhana, that the attraction is just futile and it is meaningless. Because Prabhuji makes a point that Maya's attraction is for fools. The materialistic people easily get attracted and they give in to it, and they dedicate their whole life and energy for simply attraction, which is at the end of the day is a meaningless attraction, which will be eventually get transformed into attachment, and that attachment will cause this hard struggle for material existence, and ultimately death. So this factor we as sadhakas also have to remind ourselves. So I divided the Prabhupada's purport into five parts. First, Prabhupada speaking about the aspect of death, and then Prabhupada speaking about this life is a struggle for against the material nature. It's a fight with material nature, and secondly, Prabhupada says that and this struggle is due to the attachment, due to our attachment to the things of this material world. And Prabhupada says that how uh, how we are seeing that, we are thinking that this our friends and relatives and our the amenities and facilities which we have, they are going to help us against the struggle of our in that struggle of our material existence. And the verse also says that atma sanyesu asatsu api. A quantifier is used for them as asatsu. They are also fallible, and they are also equally bewildered by the material nature. That's the so not only they are fallible on the path of death, they are also bewildered, equally bewildered in the struggle of their material existence. As Brahmaji has made these five aspects of ignorance: tamas and moha, mahamoha, and tamisra and andhatamisra. So the andhatamisra is death actually. The andhatami out of these five, the last one andhatamisra is andhatamisra is death. And first beginning tamas is uh, is ignorance of identity of our spiritual identity. That's what. And then moha is identifying ourselves with the material body, and mahamoha is taking them, the friends, relatives, all of them to be ours, is mahamoha. So like that, if if we consider them as they are going to help us, and we rely upon them, and consider them to be our, and we seek shelter from them, then that will be our fight with the, will continue, and they are also going to be fallible and defeat is inevitable. But if we consider that they are not going to help us, rather the devotees are going to help us, a guru is going to help us, the Supreme Lord and His holy name is going to help us, that will be like seeking shelter from them, then in that case will be considered as not bewildered, as Prabhupada is making. And then towards the last, Prabhupada is making that point that in this human form of life, uh, we can uh, we can come out of this. We can, in this human form of life, we are competent enough to come out of this to the understanding that this struggle of material existence and how to come out of it. This is only possible in the human form of life. And then Prabhupada says that how devotees are the only people who are not bewildered in this struggle, rather than those who are not devotees and so-called materialistic scientists or non-devotees or atheists. They are struggling very hard and toiling against the current of materialism. So, yeah, I would like to wind up here and request if any one of you has any question or comment or feedback. Thank you for your attentive listening. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Proji, for a wonderful uh, class with many personal, many realizations, examples. So my question is that in our preaching, we deal with students, and for students, it is very easy for somehow we have Prabhupada books and many seminars by which we convince them about the human form of life and death. But very often we see people who have crossed their kind of who are in their old age or in the kind of retirement. When we try to deal with them in we want to make them Krishna conscious or want to make them aware of the fact that they are also going to die, better let them take up Krishna consciousness or chanting of holy name. They usually they don't agree, or they don't like to see the truth. In other words, apasyatam atma tattvam. So how, what are the ways in which the people who are in a sense in old age, but in a sense of approaching death, of course everyone is approaching, but still how to make them aware of the fact about reincarnation, about death, who are not able to see because of their long association with material energy.
Yeah, one good thing we can do is that we can, like, if the person is very senior in age and he has amassed a lot of experience in the material world working, and then in terms of dealing with things, then they might see us as a he's a kid, and what he's going to tell us, he does not have much experience. So in that case we can expose them to our seniors and take them to them, and they can answer them. That will be much maybe you can give them information, but it's very less likely that they might see that information and convert it into transformation. They will see, okay, it is like he's telling something, and he's a boy, he's a kid. So better if we can expose them to our seniors, and they can speak. We can give them, you can tell them these are the books you can hear and things like that. If they're very new, or some of them are also sometimes they are. It's not that everybody is like that. Some of them are very genuine. They want to know. They are on like in a jigyasu level, and when they get all these things, they sometimes accept also. In case they don't accept, then we can take guide them to our like seniors. They can speak. When they will speak, they will hear. Like my uncle came, so I was telling him, he came now some days before. He was not listening. But Sarva Lakshan who spoke, he was, both of my uncle and auntie, both of them started crying. I was surprised. So both of them are crying, and I never saw my uncle crying because he is a hardcore atheist. I never saw him. He made a very terrible accident in 2012, the year I was like 13, about to join ashram. Very terrible accident. But he was telling, ठीक है, he never, and he himself, uh, terrible accident. He, like, one leg, one finger was cut off. Doctor was telling, "We'll ampute your leg," but he was not listening. To, no, 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 no need to ampute. Although the like lot of damage had happened to the this leg, calf. He was not ready, and somehow other he struggled for 6 years. Now he's able to walk, and he said that he has a lot of self confidence that God is not there. He would tell me that, अरे तू surrender कर लिया, तो अच्छा, अभी तो surrender देख मेरा क्या हालत हो गया, but मैं कभी surrender नहीं किया. Like that he was telling. So, but when he came to your ashram, so I never, that's why I never preached him. He came here, he saw so many things. I never preached him. But when Sarva Lakshan spoke to him, both of them were started crying. I was, for what they were crying, I did not ask them, but 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 I saw him crying for the first time. Something very yes.
Just to add on this comment about this one. So once Prabhupada was, I think, meeting our Ford, Albert Ford. The first question was asked, where is the Ford? So then immediately he was shaken up. So that's the Prabhupada's way of, definitely it's a very mature way of dealing with people. Well, we can ask question, just like Prabhupada asked, where are our forefathers? Immediately they will have a kind of a understanding. Kahan hai mera? So thank you for your wonderful class. I wanted to check about when verse is saying Deha Patra Kalatradeshu, what exactly it can reflect in our brahmachari life, how they can, how I need to understand all this, because I
So
don't have
brahmachari
any Patra Kalatra and all this.
and all of us, we are struggling with the body, and then so much of difficulty as that is there definitely. The body is there. Now, apatya is also in one sense, if not our council is facilities, there also apatya. So treat them as our like, and they will not be able to help us at the time of our own struggle. So that's that. In that sense, also we can say Kalatra is definitely not there, and that is that is one extra added advantage for brahmachari. That one struggle is less. That's definitely.
Just to add something on this, because in general experience in brahmacharya ashram, if one has some counselees and some followers and some funds, I mean, he has some contacts, then there is sort of internal security, like kind of a, yeah, I have someone to look after, I have something to support on, which is very much against, not against, which is opposite to the principle of where we are saying self-surrender, Atmanivedanam, where we are completely surrendering or taking shelter of the Lord. So how we need to see that how I can check myself, what are symptoms I am taking shelter of them or not. On the other side also, add to the question that those who don't have any kind of supporters or followers or disciples or students who are nor they're into fundraising, etc. They don't have any bank balance, etc. They also should not feel kind of a depression, especially in the ashram. So how we need to take care of, what are the symptoms? I'm just trying to understand.
High class sadhu are practicing all these principles. Just asking for my verification. So yeah, there's so many followings, and if he's bringing a lot of funds, these things are not going to help him. Definitely, he might be feeling very okay. I'm contributing in that sense, but it is not like that. In our movement, also there are people who have like Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur says that he's somebody asked him that you are so so dynamic, preaching around, moving and from Calcutta, Dhaka, and going to all these places. Whereas your guru is just simply sitting and chanting, not doing on the banks of this Ganga. What he told, no, 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 no. My guru is the energy house. I am just simply the machine, and the energy is flowing from there, like that. So sometimes, because of the devotees who are practicing, doing nice sadhana, and we derive a lot of inspiration from them. It's not that these devotees who are because there are both the type of preaching, having a very high class sadhana, and that is also very good example for devotees, those who are traveling, and both the ways, they also derive a lot of inspiration from them. And because that's also not like Krishnadas Kaviraj goes, Krishnadas Babaji, Srila Prabhupada's god brother. So Prabhupada would tell his disciples that he is a Uttam Adhikari. Prabhupada would tell. But if you see Krishnadas Babaji never had any institution, never had any following, never had any. So both examples are there in our society. There are devotees who have high class tattva in understanding the philosophy. They are very deeply rooted. They are very good situated in their sadhana, and they're like shining example for others. And when they give classes, like one point, it clicks because their point is so much soaked with realization. Others, when they hear it, it touches the heart, like that. So they also have that Krishna conscious. It's not like that. It's my understanding. Maybe Prabhuji or Samarpan Gopal, Prabhuji can add.
Thank you for examples. I mean, we are getting, but symptoms I'm just trying to understand. I'm as a practicing sadhaka, the symptoms that I can see that I am depending on them, or I am depressed because of lacking them. How we need to some symptoms? Is there any
Some
something?
symptoms means if these things from which he is taking deriving shelter, if they are taken away, or there is a probability that somebody is going to encroach in that field, and how he is reacting. He is becoming insecure, because insecurity is going to definitely come if person is deriving shelter from all these things. Definitely at any point insecurity is going to come, because these things are fallible things, changing parameter, and he is deriving shelter from these things. And these things, they're going to change. They're flapping. They will be sometime somebody it's going to change. So in that case, he's going to his focus is going to be lost, and he'll be like, yeah, disturbed.
As a purification for myself. So thank you.
आधा बात नहीं.
Hare Krishna. I was hesitating because Proji has been my mentor since he brought me to Krishna consciousness. So, uh, thank you, Proji, for giving such a depth of realizations through this shloka. You started with first of all, you made those five. You divided the purport into five parts and then properly analyzed each and every part. That was very nice. As well as you connected it to initially you connected it through Bhagavad Gita shloka, wherein Krishna says the same similar thing, and then each part you very nicely explained through different shlokas from different parts of Bhagavatam and other scriptures. So that was very relevant. And then the I felt question answer session was specifically Keshav Nimai Prabhu's question, and then you gave the example of Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur and then his spiritual master. So how that example of energy, house and energy, that was also very apt, I felt. And yeah, about feedback project, I as such it was very relevant also, and I don't have any negative points to share. About one point I would like to share is I thought the eye contact with the devotees was little lesser. Maybe that could have been improved. Yeah. So, yeah, and mm, uh, Proji, many of the points he supported with different shlokas from Bhagavatam, and which tells about the authenticity of which actually uh, makes it very authentic. Class. Yes, correct.
Understood, Priyabu. So, thank you very much for your very confident presentation on a very serious topic. Actually, you were also quite serious in the beginning and throughout, and in between you made us laugh little bit here and there. But you were also quite serious while presenting the serious topic. And as he said correctly, many wonderful, relevant, apt verses from Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam sections, and relevant contemporary statistics and issues you spoke. uh, So that makes things very clear actually, because Prabhupada also would do that, right? So that was also wonderful. So presentation, the style, as he also said, I also felt little bit that it can be increased. I contact already it was. That is only one thing which I wanted to say about the presentation, and the content I told already. Nicely you broke it, and the content was very well thought and prepared, mm, from many references and relevant histories, current history like NATO and Kanpur, some article. Huh? Is there an article? Huh? Such such thing has come out is a big thing actually for an institute. So it's a fact that the reality of metal world is coming out. So that is also very nicely told. And and you did mention about some personal application. At the same time, through question answers, many things came out. So that was also quite well answered, most of the part of the Keshav Mahaprabhu's sincere inquiries. Mm. And you nicely mentioned about how victory, the struggle has, no, victory is there for a devotee. So it was very positive thing for ending. Mm. So coming to some room for improvement, one thing about presentation I told, and other thing I felt that in Prabhupada's purport, the means you might as it came out in my question answer, but since the audience here is our friends and brahmacharis, so I felt personal application would have been more deeper. It would have been more relevant for the audience, current audience, in terms of struggle, because it's not just struggle everywhere else. There is a struggle for practicing devotees also, as the brahmacharis also. So you might have touched upon that little more about the struggles of a brahmachari. Struggle of being a brahmachari is worth, or struggle to be a proper devotee is worth. What is worth? So you might have thought about this point and maybe touched upon them. It would have been better, though in question answer things came out. Yes, that's what. And you did mention preaching application in terms of the reality. Like Prabhupada means speaking the naked truths very boldly is the same Prabhupada's presentation. Many places, like very strongly, like here, such words are used, right? Flapping dead body, foaming bubbles. So such presentation, not just goody goody presentation. So that is Prabhupada, Prabhupada also used to present the truth. So that way you also gave some truths. So that part also is present there. So thank you for your confident presentation. Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Okay, Darshak Prabhu. That was definitely a good presentation on the topic. And everything was well covered. And definitely liked your various examples and modern day context, contemporary issues, all those things was well handled. A few points where I felt you could improve are because this verse is talking about the temporary nature of material existence. So as soon as you think about temporary nature of material existence, which verse from the Bhagavad Gita comes into mind? So that's one aspect which could have been touched upon. Dukkalem ashashvatam. So some more understanding, examples, analogies to describe the temporary nature of material existence. So Srila Prabhupada gave so many examples, right? Examples, analogies about the temporary nature of material existence. And as soon as we talk about the temporary nature of material existence, then we immediately have to talk about another place.
Eternal nature.
Where one will not have to undergo all this. So these things are definitely very important to talk about. Srila Prabhupada begins his purport by saying, material world is called the world of death, Mrityu Loka. So, as we find in Srila Prabhupada's presentations, always his presentations are made very colorful with a lot of examples, analogies, stories. So we can definitely use them. And we should always try to find more and more such examples and analogies which are really fitting. And Prabhupada is talking about how modern day man, they cannot realize all these things. The whole materialistic advanced civilization is like decoration of a dead body. So-called friends, relatives, wives, children are not only fallible, but also bewildered by the outward glamour of material existence. They cannot save us. Still, we think that we are safe within the orbit of family, society, or country. So
Nobody else can protect. The theme is what? Deha Patya Kalatradishu. They are fallible soldiers. That's why they cannot protect us. Unless the Lord sanctions, there cannot be protection. A very relevant verse in that context. Prahlad Maharaj. Balasya Neha. So those three examples. Without the Lord's protection, none of these can save us. So since this is Bhagavatam class, we have to bring in more and more of scripture. Some relevant Shastric stories. What stories will tell? Family, friends cannot protect. Gajendra. Story of Gajendra. Family, friends could not protect, even though they're very powerful. Anybody else? Okay, Avanti Brahman. So like that. So some Bhagavatam stories to illustrate this. But in spite of knowing all this, people are not very eager in this human civilization. Everyone is a dead body flapping only for a few days. Dead body. And yet all the energy of human life is being wasted in the decoration of this dead body. So in that same context, therefore, since this is the situation of human society, so what we have to do? Yes, so we have to preach. So that's Prabhupada's mode and mission, preaching. So old people are also not ready to take up, even though they're going to die very soon. So Srila Prabhupada talks about a cartoon or a caricature.
Chant, can't.
So Prabhupada, he can say can't, but he cannot say Krishna. Then Srila Prabhupada says, even though they say can't, still we keep chanting. Somehow to make them pious, so that they ultimately take up. So that's the solution part. That's Prabhupada's mode and mission that needs to be. So these are some points which, presentation, something about Srila Prabhupada, something about the holy name. These things should always be there. And of course, personal application, as already mentioned, something about brahmachari life and brahmachari's insecurities. And so who can save? In some other class I was sharing, I think. The brahmachari got married. I told, no, some class I told. The brahmachari got married thinking, who will protect me in my old age? And then what happened? Correct. And then he got 2 daughters. So what happened? So then ultimately who's there to protect? So that is everyone's situation. So therefore, no one will be there to protect. Whether one has no counselees or 1,000 counselees or big bank balance or no bank balance or strong body or weak body. In one lecture, Prabhupada says maybe Yamaraj will take the strong person first. So all these points are there. So therefore, ultimately, we are dependent on Krishna, whoever one is. And that's what we should increase our faith, our dependence on the Supreme Lord by the sincere practice of devotional service. So thank you very much for your endeavors to come up with this nice presentation on this verse. That's your appreciation to the Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. You want to comment something on the feedback? Do you want to comment on the feedback?
No, no, Proj. Thank you for the genuine feedback. I'll work upon it.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. So till he does set up, just one reflection about the question which was asked about what about brahmacharis, deha, apatya, kalatra. So when I was studying Puranjan section, so I was very convinced that there is wife which is called material intelligence. So that wife is there. Yeah, Puranjani. And they have children also. So Puranjan Upakhyan is very good family. Brahmachari family can be revealed very nicely by Puranjan Upakhyan, because it tells you about wife, children, everything. Even grandchildren, I don't remember, but wife and children are spoken there very clearly, what it represents. And wife's body is also explained, her face, her breast, and everything, what it is. So it's helpful for us. Yes, for that reminder. So tomorrow we'll have till I think 2 o'clock. Everything will get over, including Prasad. I think 2 or 2:30. Right? So what time can we? Okay, begin at 2:30. Is it okay? Because Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur festival will be there. No? There will be class at 11 o'clock or 11:30. But the Bhagavatam class, okay. By 10, free with Prasad. Oh yeah, tomorrow is fasting only, no? So the extra time is there. Correct. So directly we can come here. So is it okay? Who 10 to 11:30 have two presentations? Total every day three, Prabhu. 12. No. Yes, Prabhu, 15. Yeah, the class and yeah. List. So then remaining part we'll have later. Two presentations. Yeah. So is it okay? Prabhuji's request from 10 to 11:30. Maybe two presentations. Anyone has any concern? Post feast. Post feast. Today also we had feast. Tomorrow also feast. Hmm. Yes. So what is option? So tomorrow, who is yeah. So second option, first option is two presentations first in the morning and remaining immediately. And second option is two presentations in the morning and directly meet on Friday with four presentations. So who is opting for option number one? Okay. Second option is having tomorrow two presentations, 10 to 11:30, and then remaining everything day after tomorrow.
First option.
And first is having two and then afternoon remaining one, like that. So two times we have to meet. So first option, is it clear? Our first option is tomorrow we'll have two times meeting here. Okay. So third option is more available. So 2:30 to 5:30 instead of morning time. If some of you are feeling little inconvenience, then afternoon 2:30 to 5:30 normal. Whatever three presentations. So this is the third option.
especially those who are going to give, they can. Hi.
Yes, so please choose. Option number 1 is 2 plus 1 presentation tomorrow. Option number 2 is 2 tomorrow and 4 day after tomorrow. Option number 3 is 3 presentations tomorrow and 3 day after tomorrow at 2:30, beginning at 2:30. So number 1 option, who is opting for? So opt for at least one of them so that I can think of. Or you want to opt for 2 also, no problem, but opt somewhere. So first option, how many of you are okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, 6 devoted. Second option, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And third option, 3. So second option. Okay, so second option is that we have 2 presentations tomorrow from 10 to 11:30 and remaining day after tomorrow. Okay. Anyone? At least givers should be there. 10 to 11:30. But we'll begin sharp at 10 because time is short and will not miss any less. Yeah. Who is there tomorrow first? Shankaranand Po. Yes, Po. Please be there before 10 minutes before. Yeah. Yes. 5 minutes before you start Kirtan. And all of us will come. 10 o'clock we'll begin direct. Okay. Thank you. Yes, forward Keshan. Hare Krishna. Yes, Keshan.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So first we will recite the shloka and then translation purport. Please repeat. Vipada santu ta shashvat tatra tatra jagadguru bhavato darshanam yat apunar bhava darshanam. I wish that all those calamities would happen again and again so that we could see you again and again. For seeing you means that we will no longer see repeated births and deaths. Purport. Generally, those who are distressed, needy, intelligent, or inquisitive, and who have performed some pious activities, worship or begin to worship the Lord. Others who are thriving on misdeeds only, regardless of status, cannot approach the Supreme due to being misled by illusory energy. Therefore, for a pious person, if there is some calamity, there is no other alternative than to take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. Constantly remembering the lotus feet of the Lord means preparing for liberation from birth and death. Therefore, even though there are so-called calamities, they are welcome because they give us an opportunity to remember the Lord, which means liberation. One who has taken shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, which are accepted as the most suitable boat for crossing the ocean of nescience, can achieve liberation as easily as one leaps over the holes made by the hoofs of a calf. Such persons are meant to reside in the abode of the Lord, and they have nothing to do with the place where there is danger in every step. This material world is certified by the Lord in Bhagavad Gita as a dangerous place full of calamities. Less intelligent persons prepare plans to adjust to those calamities without knowing that the nature of this place is itself full of calamities. They have no information of the abode of the Lord, which is full of bliss and without trace of calamity. The duty of the sane person, therefore, is to be undisturbed by the worldly calamities, which are sure to happen in all circumstances. Suffering all sorts of unavoidable misfortunes, one should make progress in spiritual realization because that is the mission of human life. The spirit soul is transcendental to all material calamities. Therefore, the so-called calamities are all false, are called false. A man may see a tiger swallowing him in a dream, and he may cry for this calamity. Actually, there is no tiger and there is no suffering. It is simply a case of dreams. In the same way, all calamities of life are said to be dreams. If someone is lucky enough to get in contact with the Lord by the devotional service, it's all gain. Contact with the Lord by any one of the 9 devotional services is always a forward step on the path going back to Godhead. Hare Krishna. Yes. So before trying to speak something on Srimad Bhagavatam, take permission, blessings of all the Vaishnavas, especially His Grace Anshodan Prabhu, so that I can try to glorify the Lord and purify my heart. So this is the context here is Srimad Bhagavatam first canto 8th chapter, where Kunti Maharani prayers title, especially this chapter. Here where Lord Krishna just now started, this is the pre-setting for the whole canto, whole the Srimad Bhagavatam, the first canto, where the setting is set. Now here in this context where Lord Krishna is departing from Hastinapur, a battle is over, and Krishna established all the Pandavas, Yudhishthira Maharaj especially, as a king, and now he's departing, taking a leave from Hastinapur and going to Dwaraka. So just before leaving, so Kunti Maharani, because her heart overwhelmed by the affection and the gratitude that she observed and she experienced in her life, so she was overwhelmed with emotion, and she came running out. Lord is almost on the Ratha. So she's offering prayers here in this section from 18, text 18, 1.8.18. So this prayer, of course, as a prayers as we read in our Nectar of Devotion also, that prayers is also a part of our 64 limbs of devotional service that Rupa Goswami mentions, especially the limb 35 and 36, explain that Vignapti and Stuti part, Stava Pataha, these two are exclusively mentioned about prayers. Also, our 9 process of limbs of devotional service, we have Vandanam, offering prayers to the Lord. Who is the example for Vandanam? Akrura Maharaj. So he is the personification of prayers for offering prayers to the Lord as one of the 9 process of devotional service. So the Vignapti, and there is slight difference between Stav part. Vignapti means you offer our personal prayers to the Lord. Vignapti means you are trying to request the Lord something or asking something. Vignapti. It's more of a personal prayer, offering prayers. Prabhupada translates offering our prayers. Then Stava part, he says that notable prayers, which are just like here we are reading Kunti Maharani's prayers, Dhruva Maharaj's prayers, Prahlad Maharaj's prayers. We pray to the Lord through their prayers. So that is because Lord loves the devotees. When we recite, He also may have special glance on us by making Him remember those great souls. So that's how Rupa Goswami exclusively mentions these two as a limbs of devotional service. So we also need to include these parts of these two in our daily schedules to offering prayers. Of course, the holy name itself is a form of prayer, is a prayer itself. Prabhupada always mentions Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Especially we had His Grace Mahatma Prabhu's seminar recently, how is very much dedicated for this purpose. His whole life is dedicated for this purpose, to make devotees chant with some emotion, with some feeling of prayer, making it as a prayer. Because as we grow, it becomes more of a mechanical and monotonous and stereotyped way of chanting. So that's the main theme here. She is offering prayers, and then the unique and celebrated prayers are very much glorified by many acharyas. These Kunti Maharani prayers. Prabhupada especially spoke on these prayers, and we have a book also, teachings on Queen Kunti. Though these are prayers of Queen Kunti, but the title itself is the teachings of Queen Kunti, because there's so much to there to learn and understand and practice. Of course, the whole topic of prayers is entirely different. What are the aspects of prayers and how to do that and all? But we are not going into that aspect. But we are trying to see this verse, what it's teaching and what we can learn. Vipada santutah shashvat tatra tatra jagadguru bhavato darshanam yasyat apunar bhav darshanam. I'll just speak about from the purport itself, what it applies to general people, what Prabhupada is talking in general, and how it applies to who are fully surrendered devotees, how it should be applied to the practicing devotees. So the summary of the verse itself is, she is asking, welcoming the difficulties. Let the difficulties come to me so that I can turn towards you, Krishna. That means this liberation. So the main focus is not the difficulties. The main focus is seeing the darshan. Bhavato darshanam yasyat apunat bhav darshan. So darshanam. Today's class is very much in line with our today's topic. Today's morning Srimad Bhagavatam was very much into the same lines. Prasada, Prabhu ka sakshat darshan in those calamities. So the Parikshit Maharaj is not seeing Shringi, he is seeing Krishna. That's a beautiful point that he made in the calamity. Then when we see the calamity, he's quoting, we'll also see that verse in small way. But the main point is that seeing Krishna in situations. So that's the main point. And Prabhupada starts with generally with general people, calamities, how they deal. Therefore, for a pious person, if there is some calamity, there is no other alternative than to take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. So here the summary is that pious people, when they have some difficulties, they turn to God in general. And that means they are at least growing in their devotional life. As Prabhupada mentions, it's welcome opportunity to remember, and that means liberation. But impious people, as Prabhupada mentions in the purport itself, that when the difficulties come, they keep on blaming and resenting and grudging, and then they are caught up in the illusory energy itself. Now the question for us is here, generally we hear the philosophy that happiness and distress both are on material plane. Prabhupada also mentioned in the later part of the purport where he's saying that our soul is actually a dream. Both calamities, everything is a dream. When the tiger comes, it's a dream. When you are enjoying in a very scenic place, it's a dream, simply a dream. If happiness and distress both are illusions, how distress has an extra edge to make one turn to God? What are your thoughts, some thoughts or some reflection? If both are illusions, why distress has that? What Prabhupada is saying, that when the difficulty pious man turns to God, how it is helping? Yeah. If he has pious, he can turn to God. But in case if distress is too much, then he also cannot. Generally, it will be very difficult unless the pious credits, as Prabhupada mentioning, it's very high. If distress is too much, we heard many cases also, even in devotee's life. One devotee's life, I heard a case that his daughter was abused. A 12 years old girl was abused, so he left everything. He's unable to chant. He's unable to do anything in devotional service, though he was initiated and everything. So the impact is so heavy and suffering that so it becomes quite difficult in some cases, in rare cases especially. So distress also has that edge of extreme of going becoming atheists or becoming averse. But still, at least some, if they have some past credits, they can still turn to God for the solution, because it shakes the core constitution of the soul. What is the nature of the soul? Sachidananda. It's always want to be blissful. When happiness is there, everything is okay. But when distress comes, it's shaken. It's from its understanding. So it's shaking the constitutional position. It's trying to address that one. So then it comes to senses. Oh, something else is there. Let us turn towards alternative solutions, that they may come to God. Then now Prabhupada comes to what about devotees? Okay, then Chaturvida Bhajante Mam, as Prabhupada mentioning, they come to Krishna. What about devotees? Because devotees, they take shelter of the Lord. Samashitaye padapallava plavam mahat padam punya yasho murare bhavam vatsa padam param padam 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 yat vipadam natesham. So Prabhupada translating here the same thing. So because they are taking shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, Samashritaye padapallava plavam, Samashrita. So because of that, the whole material existence itself is becoming a hoofprint of a calf, right? Because the whole material world existence itself is a bhavam buddhi, and generally we give the example also. Prabhupada also gives his lecture in his lecture. 2 lectures he gave on this verse. But what teachings of Queen Kunti is one of the lecture is transcribed and edited and printed at one. Because second lecture is more of teaching from a Jagat Guru point of view. The whole lecture is about how one should, who is a bona fide Guru, and how one should take shelter of a Guru. So the first lecture was because it's more relevant for practice of devotees and very much giving this aspect of taking shelter of the Lord. This lecture is been edited and printed as in the book Teachings of Queen Kunti. There also he explains that how Bhavambudhi, so in ocean generally there are so many waves will come. So you cannot stop the ocean, waves in the ocean. Right? So they are compared to so many difficulties in life, they will come. But when one takes shelter of the Lord, the whole, what to speak of the waves, the whole ocean is becoming itself is like a small hoofprint of a calf. So then to cross the ocean, I mean, even the Titanic, Prabhupada gives example of the Titanic. Even the Titanic ship, it was drowned in its first voyage. So ocean has such a capacity that it can make anything, so calamities. But still, what to speak of the waves, the whole ocean itself becomes a hoofprint of a calf for the devotee who takes shelter of the Lord, so that he can easily cross. Who are these devotees? Who are like, these are all great devotees. I mean, who are Mahatmas. Like Prahlad Maharaj says in his famous verse, Naivo dvije paraduratya vaitaranyas tadvirya gayan mahamrita magna chittaha. So, yeah, he continues the verse. He says, first, because I am taking shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, though it's an ocean, this is the difficult to cross, Duratyaya, but still because I am engrossed, Tadvire Gayana Mahamruta Magna Chitta, my consciousness is fully absorbed in your glorification. So nothing is, he is not experiencing anything at all. So that's how these devotees experience. They don't experience at all, though it's there. That's their consciousness. And also, as mentioned in the morning class, also how devotees seeing Krishna, just like Prahlad Maharaj is seeing Krishna, not the material existence. The Parikshit Maharaj also, though he was cursed by Shringi, but he is seeing Krishna in that curse, in that calamity. So he also mentions in the verse that Nirveda Mulo Dvijisha Parupo Yatra Prasakto Bhayam Asudatte. Because I am so much attached to kingdom and everything, unless I am cursed in this way, Krishna thought, I will not leave my kingdom. and all these things. So that's how he is seeing Krishna in that situation. That's the main point. That in the calamities, these devotees, advanced devotees, always they see Krishna. They're absorbed. Seeing Krishna means they're absorbed in glorifying Krishna. They're remembering Krishna. So that's how the whole material existence it's becoming a footprint of a car. Mm, they don't even experience that one. So that's the glory of those exalted devotees. Then Prabhupada explains about the contrast. Then what non-devotees do. Now the great devotees are absorbed. What non-devotees are doing. Non-devotees, Prabhupada is saying here, less intelligent persons prepare plans to adjust those calamities without knowing that nature of this place is itself full of calamities. As we have seen this verse, Dukkalayama Shashvatam. So this world is a place of misery. And we have so many sixfold transformations and threefold miseries, fourfold problems. All these giving us a lot of trouble. But less intelligent persons always try to prepare some plans to adjust all these calamities. Adjust. Of course, we have seen in 2009, there was a swine flu in Pune. We were in PDC and Janmashtami, whole Janmashtami was in temple. So because of swine flu. And 2020, what happened? We had COVID, such a calamities, epidemics outside. So, but still, we need to definitely outside people, we need to take care of whatever we can do for a situation. But people are always less intelligent persons prepare plans to adjust these calamities. But these calamities will keep on coming one after another in some other form. They will come definitely. How much you may try to adjust, they are in a different form. The nature will react definitely, because these are all because of uh, not following dharma, as Prabhupada always mentions that we are not following God's laws. Whatever Krishna mentions, whatever scriptures are mentioning, the laws of God, unless you follow, you have to face all these troubles. Calamities will come. But we need to uh, not just adjust the plan, adjust to those calamities. Just like scientists are coming up with going to moon. Not that here we have, we don't have. They are preparing some other plans to become happy on the moon planet, trying to adjust some calamities of here. But we cannot. Prabhupada always questions. Okay, if you leave this place and go to moon, what you will do on the moon? Same thing, eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. How it is different from here? You are going to die in the same way in the moon planet also. So why you are wasting time and energy? So that's how we need to, definitely it's a subtle point and sensitive point to convey to the people. We need to preach the fact, definitely, that how much you may try to adjust to the situations and calamities here, we need to one day to give up the body, as that's what Priya was mentioning. We need to take shelter of the Lord. That's how Prabhupada is. Of course, here also one more beautiful pastime happened in Mayapur. When Prabhupada was in Mayapur, Harishwaripur was serving, and one day Prabhupada was just taking massage on veranda. So we are talking about here adjusting the situations, adjusting to the calamities. So then Prabhupada was taking massage, Harishwaripur was trying to make up the arrangements, and he saw that behind on the wall there is the electrical board, and for electrical board, generally all the birds, if they have some space, then they come and put some straws and they try to make a nest, right? So they were trying that. So Hari Prabhu saw that they are making nest, some straws are there. So then he saw the birds, and then he picked up the straws and put it down, and then he was started massage and applying oil to the Prabhupada and all. So then birds, I mean nature of the birds is keep on coming. Again they saw that where are the straws? Then again they bring the more straws to put it there. Then Harishwari Prabhu picked up the straws and put it on down, and now he kept the paper stuck into the hole so that they will not make a nest. Then he is massaging Prabhupada. Then the bird came and saw, "Hey, where are my nets? Where are my straw pieces?" Then he was trying the poking the nose, poking the beak, and trying to see there is a paper. Now it's a block. Then he went and brought his mate and his wife. Both came because he's alone. He is unable to pick up the paper. So both tried hard. Tuck, 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 tuck. Then he could. After half an hour, they removed the paper. They removed the paper, and again they went and bringing the more straws to fill it. This is going on half an hour because Prabhupada massage goes at least 1.5 hour generally, in general, every day. So they both are observing, Prabhupada observing and Harishwari Prabhu observing. So then they removed both together, they removed the paper and they are bringing straws. Now this time Harishwari Prabhu plugged the paper so hard that they cannot remove. So they came, they were trying hard, putting their beak and trying here, going there, this, that. Half an hour they tried and they became tired and fatigued and they left. So then Prabhupada made a comment on this. See how these people, he made a comment that about how people are so much trying to adjust things. Though you are the person who is there next, they're observing, but though they have eyes, they're unable to see you. They are eyes, but they're unable to see you because they are in ignorance. Though they are striving hard and they are making failure after failure, but still they are striving hard to make something permanent. So similarly, Prabhupada concludes here that in the same way, the materialistic persons, though having eyes, are unable to see how Maya, the material energy, is supervising all their efforts. They simply struggle on, making adjustments, hoping to improve their lives and secure their place in the material world, not understanding that Maya is watching their every move and defeating at every step. So definitely it's a lesson we need to understand for ourselves and to preach as well, that we cannot make so many adjustments. We can adjust some things for some time, just like we also trying to take care of our health and medicine, and when a COVID is there, we take care of our health, etc. We make some adjustment, but that should not replace the ultimate goal. That's the main point. So then Prabhupada explains now the sadhaka bhaktas. So now welcoming the difficulties. So now calamities and me. I may not go and invite the calamities, just like Kunti Maharani is inviting. Right? But the calamities will come to me one day. They are always coming to me. And how we deal with calamities will come. That's the nature of this world. Prabhupada, that's why I'm mentioning here. What should I do? The duty of sane person, therefore, is to be undisturbed by worldly calamities, which are sure to happen in all circumstances. Here, there is the golden lines. Suffering all sorts of unavoidable misfortunes, one should make progress in spiritual realization because that is the mission of human life. 3-4 years before, I was going through some health crisis, serious health crisis, both grossly and subtly as well. So I was in Tirupati. I was visiting Tirupati and I was traveling to Tirupati for voice services. And then COVID also came. So I was locked in Tirupati temple for 9 months. So then I was talking to senior devotees also. Then I was hearing series of lectures on difficulties and miseries and same theme. I was trying to understand and trying to make some adjustments, some solutions. So in the part of that, I went through this teachings of Queen Kunti also. So this lecture made me a great difference in my life. That especially this lecture, what Prabhupada gave on this lecture, is really too good. Especially the statement, suffering all sorts of unavoidable misfortunes, one should make progress in spiritual relation because that is the mission of life. Prabhupada in his lecture gives a beautiful 3-step process how one should a sadhaka approach. He says that one should tolerate first. If the calamities are coming, because they are going to come, they are sure to happen, because that is the nature of the material world. So what one should do? One should focus on spiritual realization. For that, he mentioned first step is you should tolerate. Even in Juhu uh, temple also, he was giving one class on the Diksha Karunika. That is a really powerful statement. When I heard people are giving so many troubles, people are troubling us from lawyers, from this and that, so many troubles. What we should do? Tolerate, because that is the nature of sadhu, titiksha, karunika, and we should be merciful to those demons. That lecture is really too good. From Prabhupada's conviction, and I thought he will chastise, or I thought he will chastise, or he will speak something. Tolerate. So that's the paradigm shift for me. That's because Prabhupada always on a front to chastise people, demons, and we should do that, we should do this. But immediately he turned the whole thing into the tolerate means it's on our level. It's ball is on our game, on our court. So that's a wonderful hearing from Prabhupada. We should tolerate what to do because we are trying to be sadhus and we are trying to propagate the mission. We should tolerate. Then he comes to second point of welcoming the difficulties. Just like welcome difficulties in the sense that because this world itself is a material world and miseries will be there. We welcome in the sense that they give us an opportunity to remember Krishna. In that sense, he's saying that we welcome the difficulties because they give us opportunity. So Rupa Goswami wrote one of the beautiful words, Virachayi Maidandam, Dina Bando Dayamba, Nipatatu Shatakotir, Nirbharam Va Navamba, Tadapaki Payoda, Stuyate Chatakena, Nipatatu Shatakotir, Nirbharam Va Navamba. So he says, my dear Lord, whether you become very merciful to me or you throw thunders on me. Nipatatu Shatakotir Nirbharam Va Navamba. Either thunderbolts fall on me, Shatakoti, or they shower, just like he gives example of clouds. The clouds, for Chetabagod, he gives example. Tadapi Kila Payoda, Stuyate Chatakena, Chataka bird when it's flying, it only looks for water. I mean, clouds, rainwater, raindrops, not any of the pools, though there is crystal clean water in the here, but they always look for the rain cloud water. So when they are doing that, sometimes the clouds may give thunders, but still the Chataka birds always looks towards the cloud. So that's how he is always saying that though whether you give me sufferings or happiness, my dear Lord, I always look up to you. So here the verse itself is I may not be up to this verse where we are welcoming the difficulties, but we are at least we are looking up to this verse. We should come to this platform where we are seeing the hand of the Lord in the difficult situations. So that's the point here, Prabhupada mentioning here, welcoming. These welcoming tests also. These are welcoming tests. These are also tests. The calamities are also like tests for us. Because in the calamity only we can understand who we are and what is the real substance. Just like an example of orange or mango. What is there inside when you come to know? When you come to know what is there inside? When it has to be pressed, like sugarcane, it has to be put inside the juice machine so that it comes, what it is inside, it comes out. So students also, when students, what is the substance of the student will come to know when there are exams that we have now. So similarly, that's what I'm just trying to refer. So that's the main way of trying to see what is there inside the content. That what actually is there in the content inside heart of the devotee. Krishna brings out that one by keeping the difficulties. Just like we have seen examples of Parishit Maharaj. What is his in heart? Punascha bhuyat bhagavatyanante pratim prasangasya tadashrayeshu mahatsu yam yam upayam srishtim maitrastu sarvatra namodvijebhyaha. So that is there his desire. It is there in his heart. So that came out when he was put into difficulty. And Gajendra also example is seen that antarjale pada grihita pado. So it was caught by the graha, grihita pado. It caught the legs. Viklishta visrishta samasta bandhu. Tada Gajendro nitaram jagada. Govinda damodara madhaveti. So it understood now that there is nothing else for me. So the inner content, the millions of lifetimes, Prabhupada mentions that practicing of the mantras, especially he highlights that point in the Gajendra section, that we should practice some mantras so that when difficulties come, you immediately remember that comes out what is there in the heart. So there also we see that uh, the inner content is brought out in the difficult times. So they are like welcoming, we need to welcome in order to see us where we are in our spiritual life also. So in that way, they are welcoming tests for us. And then Prabhupada says last that we should pray in appreciation. That he quoted the verse of Tatte Nukampam Susumekshamano Bunjana Yevatmakrutam Vipakam Rudvag Vababir Vidadan Namaste Jive Tayo Mukti Pade Sadaya Bhak. So he said that we need to also appreciate that these calamities are coming, but how we need to respond. That's how he's giving this verse that we need to come to that level of appreciation also. First, we tolerate at one level, and we also welcome the test in order to check ourselves. And we grow in more and more spiritual life by practicing devotional service. We come to a point where we even appreciate the difficulties and calamities in our life by offering our prayers and manasa, vacha, karmana, offering obeisance to the Lord, and even extending ourselves in all the difficulties. We see in Prabhupada life also in all these things that especially in his diary he notes, we will pause with this point, that in his diary he writes that this is in 1966, he wrote in his diary in February, in these same times of Gaur Purnima days. Uh, Here he mentions about how he is around February. Okay. Yeah. How he is steward. Is remembering. So according to Mayapur Panjika, today is Adivas day of Gaur Purnima. Devotees at Vrindavan and Navdeep are enjoying the celebration. And I am here alone without any devotee companion. But I have come here to serve the Lord and not for personal happiness. I am prepared to live in hell even if I am able to serve the Lord. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted that his mission should be propagated all over the world. And that is my objective. I do not mind the inconvenience personally felt. He is writing himself in it. There is no one is going to see the diaries. Of course, their devotees only saw and printed the diaries, but he is mentioning about himself. And the next day was Gaur Purnima. So that's how Prabhupada was himself is seeing all the difficulties, inconveniences in his life, and gave us the beautiful process of devotional service that is mentioning here. That if someone is lucky enough to get in contact with the Lord by devotional service, it is all gain. Contact with the Lord by any one of the 9 devotional service is always a forward step on the path of going back to Hardhead. So that's how He gave us the process. He gave us the opportunity how we should try to see the situations and how to practice the spiritual life and how to perfect the spiritual life. So I conclude here. I'll just conclude with the Prabhupada's statement here. He's concluding. Therefore, we must take to Krishna consciousness and adhere to this consciousness under all circumstances, even in the most dangerous position. We must keep our faith in Krishna's lotus feet, and there will be no danger. Thank you. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. So if there are any questions, comments.
Thank you, Pravi, for a wonderful class. So you were mentioning at in the conclusion also Prabhupada is telling. Can you go to that last line?
Is there? Okay.
So even in the most dangerous person, we must keep our faith in Krishna's lotus feet. So you were telling how we can apply this verse in the sadhaka's life. So my difficulty when I see is that even after coming to Krishna, initially we have this idea that after coming to Krishna consciousness, everything will be happy. So we have, like, we are leaving materials world, so that tension reduces, so feel happy. But then we become conditioned to this happiness, so-called, which we think we are getting from bhakti. But actually, as Prabhupada is telling, when calamities are coming, it is like Krishna is calling us or giving us the opportunity to remember him. So, but we are afraid because we are comfortable in our whatever surrounding we are in, even among devotee circle also. So when such calamities come in our lives in different ways, how we can be, because we are afraid that what will happen to us. So whether insecurity can be because of some material attachment or some anarthas which we are trying to overcome. But then that faith in Krishna is not so much in us developed. So how we can take shelter of Krishna in that particular situation? Because many times we become perplexed what to do. So that time, what we can, something which we can remember or which we can practice, that will help us.
Thank you. So question is, I just repeat. So when we have some calamities or disturbances or some situations in which especially a brahmachari feels that he's perplexed, and how we need to increase our faith in Krishna's lotus feet. Is that or anything?
Yes, Prabhu.
As I shared that in my personal case, that hearing is the one of the basic foundation for brahmacharis, and even in everyone, even in, for sadhaka. Only by hearing from a person whom we have faith, whom we trust, whom we have a deep relation, hearing from that personality, though we know philosophy, I mean, we read so many books from covered Prabhupada books, and we keep on reading many Acharya's books also. But that the faith aspect is only comes by association of the devotees and hearing from the person who is situated in that position. Just like what I mentioned here about Prabhupada lecture or Prabhupada hearing. So gave me so much of confidence and faith how calamities will come, because that is the nature of the world, whether we are a brahmachari, whether we are sannyasi, or whether we are a guru, things will come. So the main focus Prabhupada mentioned here, I'll just show you the beautiful lines by Prabhupada in his lecture here. Don't see the sea waves, see the way out of the sea. So focus on engagement, not on an entanglement. See Prabhupada lines, beautiful lines. So danger there must be because we are in dangerous position. This material world itself is dangerous. Therefore, our business now should be cross over this sea of danger as soon as possible. As long as we are at the sea, we are in a dangerous position. However strong our ship may be, that's a fact. But we should not be disturbed by the sea waves. Instead, we should just try to cross over the sea and get to the other side. That should be our business. So we focus on not on entanglements. What is so by hearing this will I'm just making the point that by hearing from people, especially those who have deep faith and conviction and trust, we not just hear one time. As I said that I heard the lectures of on this topic. When we go through situation, we understand. I mean, especially. So I had a series of lectures about miseries and calamities or disturbances or sufferings on this topic. Uh, so I made some clips. I keep on repeating, I have to hear. I heard and I hear also. So that makes repeated hearing makes internally you become more and more strong. Repeated hearing. Same thing we can hear 1,000 times also, unless it doesn't go inside. When Arjuna perplexed, what he did? Shishyasteham shadimam tam prapan. I want to hear from you. So we need to hear, and that hearing has to be very, the content also has to be very solid in the sense that, of course, we hear also many lectures, we keep on hearing, but in a particular situation when it comes, we also need to select particular content also according to the situation. If I am suffering from lust, we should at least hear something about the, because it gives an idea, because mind is in illusion, perplexed. Intelligence has to be strengthened. Intelligence comes by hearing from a spiritual master or Prabhupada or devotees. So intelligence has to be strengthened by the, when we hear the same on topic and different angles they give, different points to strengthen the intelligence to fight with the mind, which is perplexed. So by that repeated hearing, intelligence becomes more and more strong to deal with the mind, which is perplexed. So by that we also gain more and more faith. As we inch by inch we grow. From last 4 years, 5 years, I also trying to understand, okay, they are there still. They are not gone. I mean, at least on subtle platform, they are there still troubling. But the main focus was now on focusing on engagement, not on entanglement. Definitely the ship has to go in the ocean. If the ship, the captain is, if the person, passenger is fear about, okay, what will happen? There's waves will come, the rain will come, storm will come. If he's just fear focused, then where he will go? The focus has to be going into other side of the ocean. Of course, definitely while driving, we need to see what is coming this side of the car, I mean, on the road while driving. We need to see also. But the goal is to reach ISKCON and VCC, Vrindavan Chandra. When that is the focus, whatever the cars coming this side, that side, we try to come out. But that should be our main goal, as Prabhupada mentioning here. So I mentioned that we need to hear, and we need to repeatedly hear, and we increase our faith bit by bit. And selected hearing also helps, especially in particular situations. Hope it makes some sense.
Like in the beginning days, before we got introduced to Krishna consciousness, when devotees speak about calamities, and then it makes some sense, and then we take to Krishna consciousness as urgency. But as we take and practice, and after taking the process, then we face challenges. And because earlier days we heard that death can come at any time, and everything will be taken away. So that time, because we did not have association, we took it very seriously. But after taking association, and we see life is very long. Not very long, but it appears to be very long. Even 50, 60 years appears to be very long period. And we face challenges. And it becomes difficult to see ahead, because we are facing challenges and there's not much higher taste. And then calamities come, like you were giving examples like extreme cases, when they face some challenges. Like I also seen some devotees when they face extreme calamities, they give up association, they give up the practices. So then even to speak to such devotees also, we don't understand how to
how to console them or how to speak. It's very difficult, it's beyond our comprehension. So in such situations, what is the means, what would be the solution for, may not be immediate, but at least what should be the approach for
So your question is about counseling others, those who have went through
not only
those.
counseling but understanding for oneself. Counseling is another thing. We may not have that capacity to counsel, but what should be the understanding? Because uh, extreme cases, it's very difficult to comprehend. Because
Correct.
Prabhupada also mentions in one of the lectures of Queen Kundi that calamities, if they bring us closer to Krishna, they are good. That happens in the beginning days, because we were away from Krishna. And even within the association, although we are an association, we are not so close to Krishna in that sense. So how to have what understanding and how to get this and get understanding, proper understanding.
As per my understanding, it's almost similar question like calamities when they come in our life, how we deal, how we go towards Krishna, especially. Is
Like I'm talking about extreme cases. Generally, calamities keep
extreme
coming.
cases when we talk, then it's quite case to case. We need to see extreme case. But as per my understanding, Prabhuji can suggest and correct. And unless there is one person whom we trust and we talk to and we share or we hear, it becomes quite alone is spiritual life. Prabhupada says it's simply an illusion to think that I can practice devotional service on my own. And the same thing happens. Though we are in the association of the devotees, we cannot seclude ourselves. We should have someone definitely. That's my one of the understandings that we need to have some devotee. Definitely, there are many other ways also, but this one my understanding that we need to have some superior whom we trust, have faith, and hear, and then we try to discuss what is going on in our life, how to go ahead in life, especially as a brahmachari, because everybody is unique. Everybody's life is entirely a different case, different story. You can write. So that's personal guidance is very much crucial, especially as a brahmachari, you want to go ahead. That is my understanding, one way. But in general, as Prabhupada mentioning here, suffering all sorts of unavoidable misfortunes, one should make progress in self-realization because that is the mission of human life. So Prabhupada also mentions in, I think, the Roma, I think from Bhishma section that placing the devotee into material troubles means delivering him from all the illusory material relations. So when we read, hear, understand, and comprehend these kind of some very much striking to our consciousness, which is shaking our consciousness or helping us to advance a bit. It may not immediately show us Krishna. So Parikshit Maharaj is seeing Krishna, not seeing Shringi. It may not be possible for me, but it is possible for those who are seeing Krishna. They can open up how things can be seen, how things need to be seen. So that's my one understanding. Prabhuji can add this one.
Here for appreciation. Yes. Also, thank you.
Thank you very much, Pooji, for wonderful presentation. And I was fully attentive your whole class, and I was attentive because you made very nice points. Your personal relations are very good, and you classified very nicely how different people respond differently to calamities. You spoke about pious people, you spoke about impious people, how they respond, and you
Prabhupada is
spoke
speaking.
about, yeah, it means you repeated that, but you categorized it very nicely, with nice headings.
and how few devotees they respond, and how as brahmacharis and sadhakas, what should be our practical approach. And you also explained Prabhupada is not just speaking, Prabhupada himself has responded in a, like, Kunti Banan has responded. Prabhupada himself writes in Jalduta Diary, and how Prabhupada is having that realization, and Prabhupada is speaking with that high realization. And you also had your personal experience, you were sharing your experience, and you gave many examples and quoted many shlokas. Very nice presentation, and was a very nice flow. Systematically you presented all the points, and you explained the mood of mission of Prabhupada, and how this mission of Prabhupada is mentioning how this mission should propagate all over the world. And Prabhupada is completely dependent on the Lord. Although it was Gaur Purnima and Prabhupada was not with devotees. So generally we are with always devotees, but very nice example of how Prabhupada was alone, but was completely dependent and was facing the calamities and was dependent on Lord. So it's a very deep topic, and you explained very practically and nicely. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Improvement, I don't know, probably because this topic itself is very huge topic. You covered almost everything. I don't see any improvements, area of improvements. Only thing is we have to apply it practically. That will be improvement for everybody.
I
That
am
will be like
struggling. Thank you for reminding me. I'll apply.
I think that's for everybody, that all of us have to apply this.
Sure, sure.
And thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Please,
No,
humble
no,
request.
please, as our teacher, you can.
Actually,
You should.
Prabhu is my elder friend and like elder brother, so I'm little uncomfortable to
Then-
speak anything.
Then it's more.
And he has spoken many things which I wanted to speak actually. So, as he told, same thing, that very systematic and very practical presentation of the very relevant topic for all the devotees. I especially liked, Prabhupada's this thing and importance. Like began, you told about prayers also, which is an important part of the practice in our schedule and all like that you are mentioning. So here are means you are speaking what you are practicing. So that is very inspiring, as you also said that. So, and you did quote so many wonderful verses which are very relevant. And quoting the prasad, seeing Krishna's hand, trying to see and take help from Vaishnava. So I also appreciate the question answer. Actually, the best part is you brought out questions honestly from devotees, like who also wanted to ask. I think he also. So that goes to show the genuinity of your presentation. So thank you very much for the question.
Hare Krishna. So, Krishna Prabhu, thank you for well prepared and very comprehensive, covered all the points from various angles with proper quotes and anecdotes, and so very, very beautiful presentation. Personally, I liked it very much. And you covered most of the aspects. Now, in regard to Prabhu's question, and also something which we could apply personally, that was what Madhukar was asking. So how do we see calamities, and how do we respond to calamities? One of the very beautiful purports that Srila Prabhupada has given is in the 3rd canto, 1st chapter, where Duryodhan is hurling sharp arrow-like words. Karnabani, that's the word that's used. Arrows going through the ear. Karnabani. Into the ears of Vidura. And what was Vidura's response to that? And so, I mean, that is, of course, seeing from, so that's also one calamity. And so Srila Prabhupada explains that how Vidura could see that the external energy was acting on Duryodhan, but he himself was influenced by the internal energy. And therefore, he could see it from a spiritual perspective, and he could see what is the plan of the Lord in that situation. So therefore, our response depends solely on whether we are influenced by the external energy or the internal energy. So if one is influenced by the external energy, then one goes into a, what do they say? Blaming, mourning, wailing. So one goes into that mode because then one is influenced by the lower modes of passion and ignorance. And then that's the response that comes out in that situation. So therefore, then the influence of the external energy has to be transformed into the influence of the internal energy. Correct? Then one will be able to see, as you were saying, Krishna's hand in that suffering. As Parikshit Maharaj saw Krishna in the form of the Shapa. So one will be able to see Krishna's plan only when one is influenced by the internal energy. So then the next question arises, so how do we transform the influence of the external energy into the influence of the internal energy? So who has the answer to that? That's the answer to the question, correct?
Yeah.
You change the influence from external energy, internal energy, whole problem is solved. Then you see Krishna in the form of the sharp, you see Krishna in the form of the sharp arrow-like words, you see Krishna in the form of any calamity that comes, then whole problem is solved. Very simple. So simple to speak. But that's the $1,000,000 question. So who has the answer to this question? We'll give you $1,000,000. Which I don't have. Yes, your answer is correct. Consulting devotees. So I'll give you a reference from Srila Prabhupada's purport. 1:3:34. That is the answer to the question. It's a beautiful purport. Prabhupada explains how one can convert the influence of the external energy into the internal energy by repentance and penance. By repentance and penance. That is the way of converting. And that is the homework we all need to do, and we are doing. So the more one becomes humble by repentance, and then the penance is the practices of devotional service. So to the degree one intensely practices, one comes under the influence of the internal energy. And when one is under the influence of the internal energy, as His Holiness Giraj Maharaj was saying, when sadhana is good, devotional practice are good, then what happens? What happens? There's clarity of vision. There's clarity of vision. Then everything becomes clear. Otherwise, very difficult. As Bhishma Dev says, even the greatest of philosophers cannot understand what's the plan of the Lord. Very difficult to understand. But we can get some clarity. And of course, taking, as you rightly said, there is no alternative, there is no substitute to taking shelter of the Vaishnavas and seeking guidance. That's needless to say. But then, even for that to have effects, Vaishnavas could be there. They may say so many things, but still, when one is influenced by the lower modes, it's very difficult to understand because the vision is so clouded. But then, when one has done the homework, proper homework has been done, one is more in sattva, sattvat sanjayate jnana. Then things become. Right. And of course, then one can understand what could be the probable reasons why the Lord is putting me through these situations. Another good reference in that context is 1.5.19, where Srila Prabhupada writes specifically that the Lord personally gives punishments to devotees. And this is the mercy of the Lord. Such a devotee is more fortunate than one who is put into a rich family or a Brahmana's family in the next life. A devotee who is put into a calamitous situation is much more fortunate because then he has no other shelter. Yes. So, but then to get that realization at that point of time, then one needs the association, one needs to practice. Then those right realizations are awarded at the right time. So we do find Krishna does these things. One devotee recently, so he was searching for a job. He was going to join the ashram, some other place. He was going to join the ashram, but still he wanted to do a job, and he was searching for a job. He got a job. He joined the job. As soon as he joined the job, one day he went to a dentist, and they took an X-ray, and he had some tooth pain. Took an X-ray. There was a huge tumor in the jawbone. And such a complicated surgery. The jawbone had to be cut and replaced by a part of the bone from the leg. And then the skin to cover that bone was drafted from the thigh. So, no, it's just hearing it, it was terrifying. 4 surgeons together for 5 to 6 hours were performing the surgery. So, somehow, what is this? Devotee going through such calamities. And during that whole time, and the whole face got slightly deformed after the surgery. Very wonderful devotee. At that point of time, he was severe crisis. Is where to take shelter now? Home, family, or Krishna? He was at the crossroads. But in that situation, devotees helped, devotees took care of him, and he never went back to the job. As soon as surgery was over, he was in the ashram. So Krishna has his plans. But then definitely it required the association of devotees for him to get that proper understanding and then continue devotional service. So Krishna orchestrates all these. And of course, the list is endless. We can tell so many stories. But then this is all Krishna's plan. And then, in order to see that as Krishna's plan, to have that clear vision, requires one's own internal purification and one's sincerity and the association of devotees. It requires all that. And then one will, as you spoke from Srila Prabhupada's lecture, okay, waves are coming. Sometimes very hard waves, very high waves, hitting very high. Okay, doesn't matter. I have to cross the ocean. So that's the Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Granadhara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Okay, Hare Krishna. We have one more presentation. Okay, 5 minutes break now. My Gayatri is still there.
उपज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनाशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So we are reading and discussing from Canto 2nd, chapter 1st, the first step in God realization, text number 2. So I'll read the text. श्रोतव्यादिनि राजेन्द्र निरानां सन्ति सहस्रश अपश्यतामात्मतत्त्वं गृहेषु गृहमेधिनाम्. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Translation. Those persons who are materially engrossed, being blind to the knowledge of ultimate truth, have many subject matters for hearing in human society, O Emperor. Purport. In the revealed scriptures, there are two nomenclatures for the householder's life. One is Grahastha and the other is Grahamedhi. The Grahasthas are those who live together with wife and children but live transcendently for realizing the ultimate truth. The Grahamedis, however, are those who live only for the benefit of the family members, extended or centralized, and thus are envious of others. The word Medhi indicates jealousy of others. The Grahamedis, being interested in family affairs only, are certainly envious of others. Therefore, one Grahamedi is not on good terms with another Grahamedi, and in the extended form, one community, society, or nation is not on good terms with another counterpart of selfish interest. In the age of Kali, all the householders are jealous of one another because they are blind to the knowledge of ultimate truth. They have many subject matters for hearing political, scientific, social, economic, and so on. But due to a poor fund of knowledge, they set aside the questions of the ultimate miseries of life, namely miseries of birth, death, old age, and disease. Factually, the human life is meant for making an ultimate solution to birth, death, old age, and disease. But the Brahmedis, being illusioned by the material nature, forget everything about self realization. The ultimate solution to the problems of life is to go back home, back to Godhead. And thus, as stated in the Bhagavad Gita 8.15, the miseries of material existence, birth, death, old age, and disease are removed. The process of going back home, back to Godhead is to hear about the Supreme Lord and his name, form, attributes, pastimes, paraphernalia, and variegatedness. Foolish people do not know this. They want to hear something about the name, form, etc. of everything temporary, and they do not know how to utilize this propensity of hearing for the ultimate good. Misguided as they are, they also create some false literatures about the name, form, attributes, etc. of the ultimate truth. One should not, therefore, become a Grehmedi simply to exist for envying others. One should become a real householder in terms of the scriptural injunctions. Hare Krishna. So I seek blessings of all the assembled Vaishnavas, especially Brisbane, so that we can speak something on this subject matter. Hare Krishna. So the first canto ended with the question of Parikshit Maharaj, that Parikshit Maharaj asked, what is the ultimate benefit of all the people in general, and especially for those who are about to die. So in connection with that, this Sukhdev Goswami, first verse of this chapter, he appreciates Parikshit Maharaj for asking such a good question. And then in contrast, he says this second verse. And in this second, third, and fourth verse, uh, Sukhdev Goswami discusses about what should not be chanted, heard, or remembered, and he condemns and tells about the attached household life also. So we will see those overview. So the sloka this here today, the second sloka. So what this sloka is telling about, there are thousands of topics to hear, sahasrasha, to thousands of topic to hear for the people in general, general people, those who are addressed here as Niranam. And there are they are blind to the Atma Tattvam. They are blind apashyatam and blind to the Atma Tattvam. And so they are called as Grihe Shugre Medina. So those who are too much attached to the family life, Grihe Shugre Medina. So they have thousands of subject matters to hear. So this is the context of this sloka today. So I was hearing one lecture, so that the speaker was telling about Prabhupada pastime. Why one devotee asked Prabhupada, why people are not taking to Krishna consciousness? So Prabhupada said, because they are too attached to the family life. They're too attached to the family life. That's why they're not taking. Prabhupada, on the other hand, said, see these American boys and girls, they took Krishna consciousness very easily. Why? Because they are not much attached to the family life. But in India, the problem is people are too much attached to the family life. So Prabhupada gave one example of one great politician also of that time. Ki, apparently one may look to be detached or very renunciate. Uh, he has renounced his family life. But on the larger scale, he has made the country as his whole family. So he's working for country and getting attached to the country. He makes his whole country only as family life. So that is extended sense gratification. So we'll see purport line by line and try to discuss on that. So Prabhupada first discusses about Grahastas and Grahmedis. So who are Grahastas and who are Grahmedis? So Grahastas, Prabhupada is telling that Grahastas are those who live together with wife and children, but live transcendently, keeping Krishna in center, so that they can uh, understand the ultimate truth and go back home, back to Godhead. Like we see example of Ambrish Maharaj, Yudhishthir Maharaj, in our Parampara line, Bhakti Vinod Thakur, he was a Grahastha, but he was living with wife and children, but he was keeping Krishna in center. Even our Srila Prabhupada, mm, he was a Grahastha. And current day in our ISKCON society, we find our so much stalwart congregation devotees who have family life, but working everything, keeping Krishna in center. So they are Grahastha. And on the other hand, Prabhupada explains about Grahamedis. Who are Grahamedis? So Grahamedis, Prabhupada defines as those who live only for the benefit of the family members, extended or centralized. And thus they are envious of each other. So if we are keeping only family life as a center and working, then envy also develops and they are called Grahamedis. Like Prahlad Maharaj says, who are Grahamedis? Those who are too much attached to sex life. That sloka comes. Yanmay thunadi grahamedi sukham hitucham kandune ena karayor iva dukka bhajam tripenti neha kripana bahudukka bhajam kandutivan manasajam vishaheta dhira. So this sex life, the itching, this rubbing of two bodies like a itch, Prabhupada writes in translation. So they are blind to the Atma Tattvam, the ultimate truth, and enjoying in sex life. So they are the whose center is sex life and family life, they are Grahamedis. Like we see the example of Ajamil. So he was such a nice Brahmana, but he became too much attached to a prostitute and the sex life. He became a fallen like Grahamedi. And the materialist people of these days. And also people who are not ready to hear about transcendental knowledge. So like we see example of the story of Kailas comes, like in our dramas we say to boys. So Narad Muni again and again he has to come and explain him now at least take to Bhakti, now take to Bhakti. But he was too attached to family life. Who will take care of my land, who will take care of my family, then these children are so small. So like that. So story of Kailas also come. One more story Prabhupada tells, like there are one merchant. So he was very old. So his children, grandsons told, Father, now you retired from this household life and we will take care of the business. So he was not ready. So the boys took him to some pilgrimage. They took him to Kashi, Varanasi. They took, and they had darshan of Lord Shiva, everything. Then, while taking darshan, when they took bath, then that old merchant went to uh, Manikarnika Ghat, where the dead bodies are burning. So he started crying. Oh, wasted my whole life, so much this that. So in short, that his children thought, oh, his eyes are open now. There, all glories to Lord Shiva. But when they asked, but when they asked what exact reason, so he told, I wasted my life. I was a cloth merchant. I could have been the merchant of this wood. Then my business was 4 times. So these woods are so much woods are utilized here for burning, and that my business was could have been better. So that is called attached family life. Just too attached to family life and earning, and for mm, growing his empire. So those are grammar. Even in Krishna also says in Bhagavad Gita 2.44, Bhogaishwarya prasakta nam teha chetasam vyasayatmika buddhi samadhona vidhyate. So in the mind, those are too attached to sense gratification. So for them, resolute determination for devotional service does not take place. So this Prabhupada first shows the contrast between Grahastha and Grahamedhi. So Prabhupada explains further what is the meaning of the word Medhi. Medhi means basically jealousy of others. One who is jealous of others is known as Medhi. And why this jealousy comes? Jealousy is because of one is blind to the knowledge of ultimate truth. So when one is blind to the knowledge of ultimate truth, so one is very much jealous. Like we can see in our personal application also. Like Prabhupada writes in purport to one of the sections, in Vaikuntha there is no envy. So in spiritual world there is no envy but loving competition to please Krishna. So like that. Chalega, no problem. So in my brahmachari life, in our brahmachari life also we can see, like we should also not become Medhi like jealousy for others. So we can have loving relationship with all and no envy. So one is jealous because of blindness. So what is the blindness towards the absolute truth? So what is the blindness? This cause of blindness, Prabhupada says, ki when one is illusioned by the material nature and forgets his duty for his self-realization, so that is the blindness. So that's why we can see one Grahamedi is not in good terms with another Grahamedi also. Like neighbor, they fight. One country is fighting with another country, societies. So when one is blind to this knowledge of absolute truth, and so he's a Grahamedi. So Prabhupada says, if one has to understand Atma Tattvam, then he has to become opposite. So opposite of this materialistic persons, like that. So one servant, when he was massaging Prabhupada, so he asked, he got opportunity, so he asked, Prabhupada, I have so much envy. So what to do with this envy? How to overcome this envy? So Prabhupada said, this envy, why you have envy? Because you are not liking that person. So that not liking tendency cannot go. You have to not like, that is the nature, something you have to not like. So that not liking nature, you have to just dovetail, like Narottam Das Thakur sings, ki krodha bhakta desi jane. So those who are envious of devotees, so with them we have to become envy, not with devotees or like that. So here we are not criticizing the family life, but the family life is the means of liberation if one is a grahastha, and if one is grahamedi, then it is a means of bondage. So we are not criticizing the family life, but attached family life, Prabhupada says. We are attached family life is being criticized. So Prahlad Maharaj also says, Matirna Krishne parata svatova mitho bideta grihavritanam adanta gobir vishatam tamishram punas charvita charvananam. So because of uncontrolled senses, persons are too much addicted to this sense gratification and material life. So for them,
how much instructions of Krishna consciousness one gives, so their inclination is not much aroused. Further, Prabhupada in purport, he tells about there are hundreds of subject matters to hear. So we'll see that what Prabhupada is focusing. So Prabhupada says, even Sukdev Goswami here is saying that materialists have many subject matters to hear. So I was discussing with one devotee, then he was telling that he got some research. He told that on an average in a day, one hears 20,000 to 30,000 words in a day, around 20 to 30,000 words in a day. So he was calculated in a 24-hour period. So over calculation, 821 million words in whole lifetime. So much we are hearing, but how much of those words are Krishna conscious? So that we have to cross check. So that as first line says, the Srotavyadini Rajendra, Niranam Santi Sahasra. So many subject topics to hear. So here Sukdev Goswami is addressing Parikshit Maharaj as Rajendra. So Rajendra means best of the kings and Indra means best of the person. Why best? Because he's sitting and hearing the Krishna Katha. So that's why he's the best of the persons. While on the contrary, he's other people here, he's addressing as Niranam, ordinary human beings. Ordinary human beings. So once Kanai Thakur in one of his lectures, same verse he was giving one lecture. So he was telling, ki mouth we can close, we can keep quiet. Nose we can close, eyes we can close. But ears, with any endeavor, we cannot close ears. Here we try, we cannot, with a, we have to put some ear plug or something, then we can close ear. But some extra endeavor. So we can, this also we are putting hands. Mouth without putting hands, we can just keep mum. But ears we can't. Nose also we can, at least till some seconds, we can control the breath. Eyes we can close without any extra endeavor. But ears, so much topics to hear. So that's why he's telling Sahasrasa, Srotavyadinsa. So, so why there are so much thousands of subject matters to hear? Because they're not conversant with Atma Tattva. When one is fixed, is inquiring about Atma Tattva, then one will not hear the mundane things of outside. Then one will be busy in understanding Krishna consciousness. Like Prabhuji today, he was telling, he was focusing so much on reading Prabhupada books in Bhagavatam class. He read 15 minutes, 10 minutes, so much to go in depth in Prabhupada book. So I can see in my life to apply a lot. So that we can see. Because just we go out, there are so much topics to hear. So Prabhupada in purport further is writing, the human society has got many thousands of varieties of subject matters to hear, just like newspaper in every country. He is telling every minute, every hour, one new newspapers are published. Once, thrice, twice, at least sometimes thrice or fourth time in a day only, 4 or 5 times in a day. So much news too. And all are just news about birth, old age, disease and death, nothing new. So once one politician, Madan Mohan Malviya, went to Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So he was very amazed. How you are publishing monthly this so much magazines, monthly in English, Bengali, Hindi, Odia, Assamese, so much. And in Bengali, daily Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur was publishing Nadia Prakash, that magazine, daily he was publishing. So he was amazed how much, why so much subject you have to discuss. Because in term for them, just going to temple and Lord give my daily bread and the business is over, nothing more. But he was surprised. So Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur explained him, this is nothing. I can publish every second. This material world is 1/4 and you are publishing so much nonsense about news about all these things. But spiritual world is so much, through every so much, Ananda says is glorifying Lord from times, eternity. So I can publish every second. So much we can publish on spiritual subject matter. But he was amazed. So because he was not aware of that Atma Tattva. So one sloka comes in second canto, third chapter, 20th verse. Bile batorukrama vikramanye na shinvata karna pude narasya jiva sati da duri keva suta na chopagatiti ura gaya gata. just I could not memorize it. So what translation says, or just I will give the gist. The ears which have not heard the glories of the Lord are considered as snake holes, and tongue which has not chanted the glories of the Lord are as frog's tongue. And the human being, if human being don't engage their tongue to chanting the Vedic hymns and glorification of Lord, will be considered as a prostitute if engaged in chanting some mundane nonsense. So, like we see the story of frog and this frog and snake. So, frog just croaks, and by croaking, terror, what is inviting? His own death. Snake, snake finds him and eats him. So, same way, we can also see in our life, and while preaching, we can tell just by this, just spreading the mundane ether, just we are inviting our death. That is, it doesn't does good anything. Prabhupada says, as soon as in one lecture he says, as soon as one becomes angry, then his whole body is contaminated. So why one becomes angry? Because he's discussing mundane subject matters. So he becomes angry, and all anarthas increase. So so if we want to remain pure in our brahmachari life, I can apply. If we want to remain pure, so avoid mundane subject matter, because that increases contamination, and then due to contamination, anger, and our body becomes contaminated. Then better than that, chanting Vedic hymns, and even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructed Srila Raghunath Das Goswami when Raghunath Das Goswami came to Puri after the episode of the Mahaprabhu told, just stay at home few more days and do your duty. When the time comes, you can come. So when he came to Jagannath Puri, so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave him instruction. He kept him under Sarup Goswami and Sarup Damodar and gave him instruction. Gram katha na sunebe, gram varta na kaibe, bhala na khaibe, or bhala na paribe. Do not talk like people in general or hear what they say. You should not eat very palatable food, nor you should dress very nicely. So gram katha na kaibe. So don't hear Grama Varta na kahibe. Don't hear Gram Katha village talk, and neither Gram Katha na kahibe Varta. So that we can apply in our life. So Sukdev Goswami further says, what is the lamentation? Why is lamenting? Lamentation of Sukdev Goswami is that people have uh, created so many thousands and thousands of subject matter to hear. So that is his lamentation. So much thousands of subject matter is there and no one is hearing about Krishna. So that is his lamentation. So in what subject matter we are interested to hear depends upon our quality. Like when I was just reading, in Vedic culture it is said that one's level of consciousness is uh, decided on this quality is decided upon the level of consciousness. Like if someone is in human body and acting like a animal, so he is like an animal. Whereas some animals whose consciousness may be better than human being, like we see Hanuman or Garud Dev, they are in animal body, but their consciousness is high. So they are more elevated. Their quality is more. So it is not like if we are in human body, then we are very qualitative. So it depends upon consciousness. So level of consciousness. And that according to consciousness, we decide in what subject matters we are interested in to hear about. So therefore, this classification of living entity is according to the basis of consciousness. So working on increasing consciousness, quality of consciousness is focused there. Then further Prabhupada says about apashyatam atma tatyam. He explains the meaning and he tells in the purport. So apashyatam means what? Apashyatam means one who has eyes still cannot see. So that is apashyatam. Having eyes and not able to see. So this blindness is also of different level, like blindness due to high birth, blindness due to high education or high aristocratic family or high power. So due to that, one becomes blind. And what makes blind? The conditioned soul, how he becomes blind? Because due to the tendency of sense gratification. When one is involved in so much sense gratification, one becomes blind. So one devotee asked Prabhupada, what is the wrong in sense gratification? One can do sense gratification. So, so Prabhupada said, because it makes you blind towards the absolute truth. If you are just engaged in sense gratification, then there will be no higher inquiry. So one will be blind towards the absolute truth. So this entire material world is apashyatam, means atma apashyatam atma tattvam. One has no inquiry or vision of the atma. So atma tattva means who am I, what should I do, or what is my future, how will I get deliverance. This is atma tattva. Tattva means truth. So but there is no inquiry like that if we see on the outside world. So Prabhupada tells in one lecture ki atma means three things: body also, mind also, and soul also. So people are, and there is no one working on understanding the body on the basis of atma. Like we see, for body they are having this biology, they have studying psychology. For mind also they are studying psychology, thinking, feeling, willing. They are doing so much experiments on mind. But Prabhupada says, but nobody is studying the deepest meaning of atma, the soul. Nobody is interested in that. So, so one has to uh, do this Atma Tattvam. And further, also one sloka comes in 10th canto, Yasatma Buddhi Kunapi Tridhakuke, Swadi Kaladrishu Bhoma Ijjadi, Yat Tirtha Buddhi Salile Nakarichi, Ganeshu Abhigeshu Sa Eva Gochara. So one who identifies himself with his land, family, and thinks his body is all in all. So one, and not inquiring to the absolute truth. So he's just no better than a cow or an ass, Prabhupada says in that translation. So we can see Prabhupada, and again, he's focusing on hearing, not just become Grahamedi. He's, you can understand what Prabhupada is focusing, not just become Grahamedi, just hearing mundane subject matter, just and become Grahamedi and just simply envying others. Grahamedi just envying others. Rather, one should become Grahastha. So what he is trying to establish that in this verse, one should become Grahastha, a real householder, and follow all the scriptural injunctions and perfect his life and go back home, back to Godhead. So that is Prabhupada's focus here. And in we can see what we can apply in our life, that as a brahmachari, our foundation is also hearing. Hearing is the foundation of our devotional life. So we have to, Prabhupada in this verse lecture, he says that as far as brahmacharis are considered, here they have to follow in the footsteps of Goswamis. So Goswami means 24 hours Krishna Kirtan, Krishna Katha and Krishna Kirtan. So as Prabhuji was telling in today's Srimad Bhagavatam class, one should be away from disturbances. And one should, how that can be possible? By being engaged in service and seva and hearing. You do read your Bhagavatam and be engaged in seva. Like how that Draupadi Prabhu asked him to give a class, but he had meeting, but last time when he had come. So, but when he agreed to give class and everything was engaged. So Prabhuji was focusing that if we keep our chanting, hearing and devotional practices in front, then everything is followed. So like we have joined Brahmachari ashram, so it's not like just everything is done. Now I'm very safe. Like example of Saubri Muni comes. He also went into the Yamuna river. Like it was not any ordinary river, it was Yamuna river. So just going in Yamuna river, it's not that just it is such a nice holy river. I am now done with my do my tapasya nicely. So we also should not think like just we have joined Brahmachari ashram, now this is a safe place. No, we have to go very deep in the hearing of this transcendental sound vibration. Like in 11th canto, that sloka comes, Sabde Parecha Nishatam Brahmani Upa Upashamastam. One must always be bathing in transcendental sound, deeply absorbed. When we are deep in, then we are safe. So when we are deep, then we are safe. And in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu also, Rup Goswami gives the analogy of ocean and shark. So how that I was just contemplating. So that shark analogy, how it's applying here. The shark never he swims in ocean only, never takes shelter of river. So and this impersonalist say that these rivers are like all rivers go and meet to ocean only. That take shelter in ocean only. But shark never goes to river to uh, swim there. It always takes shelter of ocean. And in ocean also it's diving deep. Not that's why shark is never caught by fisherman's net. When he's diving deep inside the ocean, then one will not get caught. So in our life also what I can apply and we all can apply that diving deep inside the ocean, so will not get caught. Diving deep means be protected from the mundane sound vibration, the sahasrasham. So much thousands of subject matter, mundane subject matters are there to hear. So you all can bless me also that I can be away from mundane sound vibration and involve myself more and more in the Guru Vani and Prabhupada Vani and purify my heart and purify the entire ether. So that analogy was there. So, to conclude, what should be done? So in second canto, second chapter, verse number 36, the sloka comes, Tasmas sarvatmana rajan, Hari sarvata sarvada, Shotavya kirtitavyascha, Smartavyo Bhagwan Niranam. O king, it is therefore essential that every human being hear about, glorify, and remember Supreme Lord, the personality of Godhead, always and everywhere. So that's how we can convert ourselves from the pro class to swan class, like Esteproji was also telling. So always hear, glorify, and remember Supreme Personality of Godhead. In that terms, we can save ourselves and save and others also. Hare Krishna. So any comments, feedbacks? So your discussion.
Thank you, Pro, for nice class. I have one question. So in the purport, in the last paragraph, Prabhupada was writing, misguided as they also create some false literatures about the name, form, attributes of the ultimate truth. So you very well discussed how mundane literature are danger for us as brahmacharis. But nowadays, thanks to YouTube and other avenues, even like they not only the metal list, we are also having different literatures or different varieties of information on name, form, and attributes of ultimate truth also. This may not be technically called mundane, but then still these are also available. So how we can differentiate what is right, what is wrong, and how we can protect ourselves from such literatures?
Hare Krishna. Yes, there are many literatures maybe there which does not look fully mundane, and one may find taste in that also. So same thing, Rup Goswami Father has given this shark takes shelter of the his ocean, not rivers. The ocean is Srimad Bhagavatam. So we have to take the shelter of ocean of Srimad Bhagavatam. One may find to swim nicely in a river of the mundane literatures. And in that, when Prabhuji was taking over this Bhakti Shastri of this nectar of devotion, then Prabhuji was only telling, not getting that now, that rivers are compared to those type of literatures. The rivers are like Mayavadi literatures, There may be some, because they may not be fully pure. There will be some contamination in those literatures. One may find taste, but that will be contaminated. So we have to take shelter of ocean. Don't take shelter of those literature. So be protected. And Prabhuji was yesterday mentioning in Srimad, that Brahmachari class, the principle of 80% and rice dal sabji chapati is always rice dal sabji chapati. So we have to take shelter of rice dal sabji chapati. So that is Srimad Bhagavatam and the literatures which are given by Srila Prabhupada first, at least. So much there is to do in Srimad Bhagavatam. Why to go to other literatures? Why to go only? So much Prabhupada conversations, so much Prabhupada's transcriptions. Goal is to go back to Godhead, not to become Gyani or whatever, to not to gather so much knowledge. So everything is there in Prabhupada books. Yes, 20% we can refer for in our preaching applications to this contemporary world. Even the same question was asked by uh, Radheshyam Prabhu to His Holiness Rananath Swami Maharaj in one of the previous classes in Chowpatty. I was there present live. So Maharaj told, Radheshyam Prabhu asked the same question. So Maharaj told, when we are deep rooted in Prabhupada books and study first those nicely, then we will get the proper view and proper mood to approach those other literatures. But if we are not rooted in Prabhupada books and our parampara books properly, then we will not have proper uh, approach or proper view towards other literatures also. Like one devotee was asking, we have to read so many other things to preach. We have to sometime mundane knowledge also, we have to hear some research we have to do. So for Maharaj told, first, if we are deep rooted in our books, then we'll get the proper approach and mood and proper view. Then we can, in contrast with that, we can help that person. Hare Krishna.
Did that, please, volunteer.
Hare Krishna. So, one very nice thing I liked in this presentation was that this whole presentation was revolving around that verse, and so so it was exactly what is like kind of message of Prabhupada coming out. And another thing, it made very much sense when you are speaking about a lot of examples and analogies, and that story of that person also who goes to this Manikarnika Ghat. So it made a lot of what you can say, we could understand that words of Graham Medi very well because of that. Thank you so much, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So Rajat Prabhu, thank you very much for your presentation. I was wondering, very special verse you chose about where purport is explaining about Grahastha life and Grahamedi life. And you explained very nicely the purport actually, line by line, with examples, as he said. So very wonderful. And about presentation skills also, you were having eye contact, confidence. So these were very wonderful things. With Prabhupada's nice question answers anecdotes. That was very pertinent questions and answers of Srila Prabhupada, which you quoted. And in terms of personal application, also you mentioned about envying. So what I felt was actually for there is one article of like Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur's appearance is coming tomorrow, right? So there is one article by him called Mat Medi, which is very relevant here for this purport. So I felt that you would have gone, as you were speaking about going deeper. So for Brahmachari application, if it would have been more nicer if you would have gone deeper into how envy manifests and how we can deal with that envy in a very proper way. It would have been additional thing for applying personally, because that's the root of this, right? Medhi word means that jealousy. And you did mention about that we go deeper and everything. So I also felt that it would have been more relevant, that article or some deeper discussions on for brahmacharis. as the purport was more about grasta, then you wonderfully explained that, with many, many examples and analogy stories, Raghunath Das Goswami's instructions. And secondly, one more thing which I wanted to mention is the yajna for brahmacharis, as Bhagavad Gita says. So, not Shavan, but yeah, start the senses in the mind, beginning with ear. So that's a very important. So that you also mentioned that hearing is foundational for us. So thank you for your confident presentation. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna's Rajat Prabhu, good presentation on the topic and the verse. And as already mentioned, I'm not repeating many of the points that have been already covered. So you definitely covered most of the points and personal application pretty much. As Samarunga Prabhu has told about going deeper into envy. So that's something which could have been added for personal application. How to deal with envy. As Prabhupada says, the solution to the whole problem is going back home, back to Godhead. Correct? The ultimate solution to the problems of life is to go back home, back to Godhead. So again, and Prabhupada is quoting 8.15. So when some verse is quoted in the purport by Srila Prabhupada, it's always good to quote that verse and explain that verse because Prabhupada is quoting it. So that definitely would have been useful. And then speaking about the spiritual world where there's no envy. So that could have been explained, the difference between the material world and the spiritual world. Prabhupada writes in 1.1.2, 1.1, this is 2.1.2, 1.1.2. Prabhupada writes, in the material world, everyone is envious of everyone else. There's envy between animal and animal, man and man, society and society, nation and nation. There's competition. So, talking about material competition, spiritual competition, material consciousness, Vaikuntha consciousness. So these are some points which could have been added, could have made the presentation more wonderful. And right, otherwise, most of the points. And of course, something a little bit more on Prabhupada's mood and mission and how Prabhupada did this. As Prabhupada is writing in the purport, the process of going back home, back to God is to hear about the Supreme Lord and His name, form, attributes, pastimes, paraphrase, variegatedness. So this is what Srila Prabhupada did, spread the Supreme Lord's name, form, etc. by the literatures and the preaching and everything else. So those are some points which could have been added. Just a small point on presentation. Have you done TTC? No. Okay. When one is speaking and the mic is on the stand, the mic is already supported on the stand. So holding the mic could mean a sign of nervousness. The mic is already supported. So there's no need to hold it. So if one is continuously holding it, that means one requires, the mic doesn't require support, I require support. So it gives an indication like that. Whether it's true or not, I don't know, but it gives an indication of body language. So therefore, we should not hold on to something while speaking. So the hands should be free, not hold on to something. That's and some point about speaking skills. And also one more point I felt could have been improved, again in the presentation skills, is the flow. Okay, a little bit better flow of thoughts, flow of the entire subject matter, one point flowing into the next. So I felt it was a little bit, the points were not connecting so well. So maybe that also you could think about it. But definitely we appreciate your endeavors to come with this nice presentation on this verse with many, many wonderful points to learn. So let's show appreciation to Rajat Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Thank you very much. So we meet tomorrow at what time? 5 to 10. 5 to 10. 9:55 to be precise. Huh? श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, संवेद गौर भक्त वृंद की जय. Thank you very much.